Hello everyone, welcome along to the Sports Corner. We are back once again for some more Bundesliga action this weekend. We already had a brilliant game on Friday. Now, I said brilliant game, but not really good in terms of the result in hand for KL. But we had plenty of goals in that match, and of course we had an A-League watch-along this morning. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and there were a few goals in there as well. I think that actually ended 3-1 as well. So we've got a nice train of 3-1s going, but we're here tonight for what is... Again, I'm not even going to say whether it's exciting or not until we kind of show the teams and why I'm not looking forward to it as much. But we've got a game on our hands tonight, Dortmund Hertha. On paper, looks a very good match overall. Two very interesting teams. Hertha down towards the back end of the table. Dortmund towards the top end, although still currently sat in 5th with a chance to move back into the top 4. But joining me for this watch-along, he's had just under 24 hours to get over the result that we saw... of course, going on with Gladbach yesterday. It is going to be Mr. KL. How are we doing?
Yeah, it's alright. When you was doing the intro and you're like, we've had a few good games this week, and I was just looking at you as if to say, I can't tell if you're doing this on purpose, or it was thinking, but no. In terms of, action, it's been relatively exciting in terms of scorelines. Just, Hull made it better for me today at least.
Yeah, do you know what? We've all had a good weekend. We didn't play, so... It doesn't really matter anyway. It's an instant win for us. But we've got a big game on our hands today. As I said, Dortmund Hertha. Interesting game on paper. And not... When we originally looked at the game before we saw the lineups, we looked at this game and thought, this is going to be quite an interesting match. The lineups, however, has slightly changed my opinion of how this match is going to pan out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Paul Dardai obviously back for his second stint at Hertha Berlin. And last week got their first positive result in a long time. It was a win they needed because they were 1-0 down in that game, so they showed a little bit of heart and a little bit of spirit to get back into the game. But when you look at the 11 that they fielded tonight, it doesn't scream a team high on confidence.
No, and it doesn't scream a team interested in attacking either. And I know they've got a lot of injuries, which we'll go through the teams now very quickly with kick-off in a second, but... they've got a lot of issues right now with injuries at Hertha Berlin, which is why they're playing a little bit more defensively than you probably expect them to. But Dortmund tonight, 4-2-3-1 for them. Maren Hitz is in goal, back four of Nico Schulz, Mats Hummels, Emre Can and Matthew Mori. Midfield three of Jude Bellingham, De Hood and Julian Brandt as a central attacking midfielder, with Thorgan Hazard on the left, Royce on the right and Haaland in the middle. When you look at that team, it looks like a little bit of a makeshift defence for Dortmund tonight as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
from usual.
Yeah, I think Akanji misses out today, so that'll be why that substitution has kind of been made. We've seen Piszczek be used as a centre half before, but I think Emre Can and I think there was Delaney as well as dropped in as a makeshift centre back at points. So I think, as you say, not the most settled back four we've seen, and it's definitely not everyone's first choice. But you've got to do factor in injuries and stuff like that. I do still think it's a solid enough back four as Mori gets more and more game time.
Yeah, no, it should be a good enough back four to beat a team like this, because we'll go through the Hertha team in a second.
From a back four to a back eight.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Calsport, hey Josh Kieran, how are we? I'm not too bad, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing alright, apart from the fact he said he's going to go for a 2-0 Hertha win. Have you seen the lineup, Kyle?
Well, we'll go through the lineup now. The game started and he's underway, but to give you a rough idea of what we're working with here, as we said, there's a lot of injuries to this Hertha side. Askasibar's out, Khedira's out, Guendouzi's out, so they are missing a large chunk of their midfield. They're missing Cunha, who's the main player in the side. So this is how they're on paper. 3-1-4-2 tonight for Hertha Berlin. Orun Yarstin is in goal. Back three of Marton Dardai, who's actually the son of the manager, Paul Dardai, with Nicholas Stark and Lucas Klunter as the centre-backs. And then it's this four-man midfield technically on paper. You've got Lucas Toussaint acting as the holding defensive midfielder who realistically will be on his own at points, kind of doing the dirty work. But you've then got Marvin Plattenhardt as a left mid. Now, he's usually a left back, but playing a little bit further up tonight. Be interested to see how he does. We've got Zifweek on the right, who can probably play, in my opinion, as a midfielder. Although I've just realised he's not there on mine. I forgot him off. But Zifweek's on the right-hand side. But it's the midfield. Yeah. Mittelstadt, who is a left back. And Derrida, who, of course, is a usual player in the team as a midfielder. With Cordoba and Piatek up top. There's pretty much 7 defenders in this team today for Berlin.
Yeah, there is. And the thing is, there is one person in that midfield that isn't defensive by trait, and that's Derrida. Yet he's also not exactly an attacking midfielder. He is more of a box-to-box. He's more creative than anyone else in the side. But as we say, we were looking earlier at the team, and it looks as if you could look at it and say that is just a defensive bag of 8 with 2 strikers. I mean, fair play, 2 strikers. They've gone attacking, but with 8 defensive-minded players, I guess if you include Derrida, it'll be interesting to see if their approach is just to soak up pressure and counter-attack, which with Cordoba's pace may work against Hummels.
True. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the 2 up top do, because they're not going to get the same creativity as such as they usually get from the likes of maybe having Khedira and Guendouzi in midfield, because even though they can still be defensive players, they've got a little bit more creativity within them to put passes off. So it might be a case of there's not going to be many chances for Hertha tonight, and it's more a reliance of Cordoba and Piatek making the most of those maybe 1 or 2 chances that they get in the game. Or, at the same time, as we were hoping, Dortmund don't know what to do, because they don't expect these players to be playing in these sorts of positions, and we get a bit more of an open game than we expect, considering as well Dortmund have been quite poor recently. Yeah,
exactly. More inconsistent than they've ever been, really, for Dortmund. But in terms of this Hertha Berlin side, it'll be interesting to see how advanced the fullbacks are, because they do have a blanket of 3 behind them. But as we say, they're lined up as technically left mid and right mid, but to me they're not. They're playing as fullbacks. So we'll have to see how it lines up. I think it's one of them. We looked at it and we thought, this is a bit disappointing, but also I think it adds a level of intrigue. For me personally, I'm intrigued to see how Hertha are going to approach this.
Give it 40 minutes when we get to half-time, and it might be a different story in them. But, as I said, if they can get a nice early goal in the game, it'll make things interesting. But Dad's in the building. How you doing, buddy? Oh, you're good. He says, hi, Josh Kieran. How are you both today? Doing very good indeed. He's gone 2-1 Dortmund, which I think is a little bit more of a expected result for people tonight.
A little bit more realistic than Mystic Kyle, who is as far from Mystic in the past couple of weeks as I've ever seen.
I mean, just thought, well, if I said 3-0 Dortmund, what do you know? They'll lose 3-1. Yeah. So I thought I'd go against them to boost their chances of scoring. Tactical, that's what we like to see. And then Tubbs is in the building. How are we doing? Are we all good? As always, Tubbs. Should be an interesting game tonight. But first 5 minutes, not really much going on. But what I will say is, both teams coming off the back of good results. Hertha Berlin winning last week for what feels like the first time in forever. And then Dortmund, of course, winning midweek in the Champions League against Sevilla, although it was quite a tricky match for them in the end, with Sevilla coming back in the last 5 or 10 minutes. There was real nerves that they could actually get knocked out of the competition. But both teams coming in, bit of positive form.
Yeah, exactly. The draw midweek with Sevilla, it was basically all that mattered was going through. It didn't matter, how the game went. It was all about getting through to the next round, and that's what they've achieved. And at the moment, it just seems like when you're playing Dortmund, your key to victory is stopping Erling Braut Haaland. But how do you stop him? You stick 8 defensive players on the pitch. That might genuinely be the only way to...
still not stop him.
Yeah, exactly.
With the way he is right now, his form's been ridiculous.
Exactly, he's unbelievable. But last week, as we said, Hertha Berlin, a nice confidence builder. They've been really, really poor for multiple weeks now, and they finally got a positive result in a 2-1 turnaround last week. See if they take any of that kind of confidence into this week's game, because it's a completely different...
Oh, bloody hell. Jesus Christ.
It was close.
Very close. Dortmund whipping a cross into the box that nearly went into the back of the net. One of those crosses where it's kind of a cross-come shot in the end, and just seeing it now again.
Or it takes a deflection.
Just got a little bit of curl from the deflection, but a little chance.
Yeah, definitely. And to be fair, if you're Hertha Berlin, you need a little bit of slices of luck as well, I will say, tonight, if you're going to be playing this Dortmund side. You can't make any mistakes at the back, and they almost were unfortunate to have a deflection going to the back of the net. But 6 minutes in, it's setting the tone as Dortmund are controlling the possession.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it on paper, it kind of feels like this could be an attack v defence drill for Dortmund tonight. But
we've seen it work. Like Molde v Hoffenheim was an attack v defence drill, but they had 2 shots on target and they won 2-0. So I will be excited to see when Hertha counter. I feel like I'm going to be excited more when Hertha counter, because they'll have these fleeting opportunities. It won't be an extremely absent game from Hertha. They will try and have flurries forward, but we'll just have to see how it goes, because in the first 10 minutes, I think their immediate thing is to not concede.
Yeah, you don't want to concede early on. I think we've seen quite a lot of teams in the past, especially coming up against Dortmund, they try to go for it early. And although they've been a little bit dodgy at times, Dortmund, they're quite ruthless up top when they've got a player like Haaland who could bag 20-25 a season. But Tubbs put, I'm watching 2 games, Dortmund Hertha and Everton Burnley. Keep us up to date with the Everton Burnley match. He's gone Dortmund 3-1 win and Everton 3-2 win.
Oh. Burnley
Going
scoring
for goals
2?
tonight.
He sees Burnley scoring 2.
I mean, you never know.
No, I don't know. I was interested to see that game because Everton are on a really good run of form at the moment. And in terms of like, we got asked the other day in the chat, will they finish above Liverpool? I think you got asked it, and it's like, you never know this year. As there's a free kick in a reasonably dangerous area to get a cross in from Marco Reus.
Yeah, good position this. Reus, quite an interesting player for Dortmund. You kind of feel like his time is slowly coming up towards maybe leaving, but he just always seems to be the ever-present player, and it's actually going to be Chan who whips the ball in. And it's a fantastic header, but just in the end, I think it was Mats Hummels. I didn't say Mori at first, but it was the veteran at the back as well, Mats Hummels, who gets a really good header on the ball, and I think he would have actually been offside just by his foot if that would have been checked by VAR, but not close enough to goal, which is a shame for him.
No, it was actually a decent crossing. I wasn't sure if it was Chan or Nico Schultz because he took it with his left foot. That's why I thought it might have been Nico Schultz.
It looked like Chan because I think Chan's got a ponytail now.
Yeah, well,
They're both same as each other.
Yeah, if you look, I was going to say, if you looked at both their haircuts, they're both on the same side as well, which is annoying. But yeah, I know what you mean. But great ball into a dangerous area, but in terms of a real chance, it wasn't much, was it?
No, it was a very good set piece, and it's going to be a case of Hertha Berlin looking there and thinking, little moment of danger for Dortmund early on. As you said, you don't want to concede in that first 10 or 15 minutes, and they've had one or two little opportunities, Dortmund at best, but they've kept them pretty quiet so far. We've not really seen anything from Haaland yet, or Hazard and Royce, to be fair, so they've done good so far, but it's a case of just keeping Dortmund quiet, because the last time we watched them, it ended 5-2 to Dortmund, and they looked very good for large parts of the match, and then ultimately crumbled in the end.
Well, yeah, Hertha took the lead in that match, I remember, because I think I watched it with Rowan. I got very excited when Mateus Cunha scored early on in that game, but I'm not sure if that's not going to be given as a foul, as Cordoba nicks it and drills it across the box. And I don't know, I thought that was going to be a foul, to be honest with you.
No, I thought it was as well, but there's the always say, play to the whistle, and Cordoba did. Looked just obviously to see whether it was going to be a free kick or not. Didn't. Whipped it in, a little chance there, and I think in that situation, because Piatek and that were also looking at the referee thinking probably going to be a free kick, didn't run into the box, into the right position, so a little bit awkward for Cordoba, but you've just got to play to the whistle, because chances like that, as I said, it's going to be very thick and thin tonight in terms of the opportunities. They might have maybe 2 or 3 tops each half, maybe less than that, so they've got to make the most of them when they arise.
But I do think Cordoba's going to be the nuisance for Dortmund. I think Piatek is the finisher out of the two, but I feel in terms of hassling the centre-halves, and every time they get on the ball, be threatened by the ball in behind, that man is Cordoba. And I think he'll do a lot of the dirty work, but if it comes to getting the ball and putting it into the back of the net, I think Piatek's the one you'd rather in that situation.
Oh, definitely. I know obviously there's been lack of goals at times for Hertha. They've had, I think, 26, 28 this season, so not many for a team that have got quite a lot of good players in the side. But ultimately, if they can get a win today, it'll be a massive confidence boost for them, considering the likes of Mainz picked up points earlier on today. Cologne very nearly picked up points before Union Berlin beat them 2-1. So the teams around them starting to pick up a little bit of form here and there. So Hertman have got to match up with them, because they're only 2 points, I think, away from going to the bottom 3. So results like this could become very, very crucial, even with a point, I think.
Yeah, unless you're called Schalke.
Yeah, Schalke are just they're on another planet right now, and not in a good way at all. But just look at the chat. Tubbs has put, Everton have a knack for leaking easy goals to subpar teams. I think the first game that came to mind for me was when they played Fulham. I think it ended 3-2.
Well, I know Fulham are technically a subpar team, but Fulham do play some nice stuff, to be fair. But I understand what you mean. Like, Everton need to get that consistency when they play both big teams and small teams. I just feel like sometimes Everton shows up and they can give one of games like the Merseyside derby earlier in the year, and then they'll have poor games in the middle where for some reason they just don't look like scoring at all.
Definitely indeed. Chance here lobbed into the box, and it was a really good opportunity for Marco Reus on the volley, but I don't think he just did his body well enough there to be able to put that on target. It was a ball in from Matthew Mori. Really good, and it's just one of those where he doesn't get the right connection, does he, with the volley, and it's just wide of the goal, but a good chance, and he's got to do better there.
I think it's ever so slightly behind him, so he's trying to get his foot over the ball, and it ends up coming off the shin and going high and wide. Maybe if Matteo Mori puts it ever so slightly more in front of him, he can make a swifter connection with the ball. But in terms of a chance, they've mainly come through Marco Reus. But to be fair, Hertha have had these little moments where they just need a bit of possession on the ball and try and pick apart this Dortmund side, who I've got to admit, defensively, are not that solid. I want to say, like you saw with Sevilla in midweek, they can concede goals quite easily. So maybe that's where Hertha exploit Dortmund a little bit, is their defensive weakness.
Yeah, and I'd say the only problem is that you need a few decent attacking players on your side, and realistically they've only got 2 players in the team today that you'd expect to go out there and get something. But it also gives, as I said earlier, good opportunity for these defensive players who might have always in the past wanted to push up the pitch, but apparently it's already 1-0 Burnley, so good start. Jordan putting that in the chat. How you doing, Jordan? I know he put as well, Mendy produced the save of the season against Leeds. I know which one you mean. It was an outstanding save in the match. I think like he just got it onto the bar and it rebounded. It was a good save, but
do you know the bet I cashed out on it was Everton to win as well, so I'm kind of feeling a little bit better than earlier when and Galatasaray doubled down. Henry Onyekuru,
what a man!
Former Everton man, could have done with him too. Maybe Burnley got. I wonder who scored for Burnley.
Is it going to be Chris Wood by any chance? Kieran's going to find out for us, but I've got a feeling if Chris Wood's playing, it's usually him.
Are you joking? It genuinely
and it's Chris Wood.
Chris Wood, yeah, there you go.
I feel like the only player that ever scores for Burnley is Chris Wood or Ashley Barnes whenever he's there.
Yeah, and it's exactly what we said about like Everton's consistency. It's immediately gone down the shitter within 10 minutes, and I can't believe it. What a high-scoring game of football that is.
England 13, France 17. Bloody hell, 30 goals in the match.
Good prep for the Euros there from the boys.
I'm guessing, is it Six Nations by any chance, Daz? You'll have to tell us because I don't tend to watch rugby.
Is it still going on?
I think it starts again, the Six Nations soon. Because like obviously last year's tournament was fucked with COVID, like everything else has been, but.
Like the Papa John's Trophy final that's being played now, even though it was from last year.
Going to be a chance here for Dortmund to come forward. Ball played to Schulz in the box. It's good defending. I think it's Fuik who comes back and stops the ball going in. I think that's going to be a corner.
It is. It was a really nice overlapping run by Nico Schulz, who's kind of come into his own over the last couple of weeks. He's had to come in due to the injuries to Rafael Guerreiro and players like that. So he's kind of finding his feet after, I know some Dortmund fans, including, I think Rowan's mentioned, he's not the greatest fan of Nico Schulz, but over the last couple of weeks, I think he's come on a little bit in, because I just wondered where that was ending up. Sorry, I was
wondering where that ball was ending up as well.
Yeah, but no, since he moved from, was it Hoffenheim he moved from or somewhere like that?
Hoffenheim, I think.
Yeah, so since he's moved from there, it's, he's yet to find his real feet, but I think recently, he's become a decent member of this back four.
Yeah, no, he's a decent little backup player, I would have said. Not an amazing first team player maybe for a team like this, but when you look at teams like where he was before Hoffenheim and Wolfsburg, vice versa, he'd probably be a good fit as a starting left back for them. But in terms of a backup option, he's not a bad player, let's be honest. He's got bags of pace, which is something that I don't think Rafael Guerreiro has. I think he's just a very skillful player. Yeah. So it comes with the added bonus of having a bit more pace to stop maybe quicker strikers, which they won't have much of a problem today with because Piatek and Cordoba aren't the quickest players in the world. But yeah, I think he's a decent player. I know I said Rowan's doesn't really like him, but I can't see why you wouldn't like him as a decent backup option.
I think the problem is with both maybe Schulz and Guerreiro, and I think the problem with Dortmund in general, the way they've played over the last couple of years, is they have full-backs where defending is their second resort for some reason, and they don't play three at the back. This is what I've always found like a really interesting thing about Dortmund is Hakimi, when he was there, going forward, he's so much better than he is going this way. I think Guerreiro's the same. He's so much better going forward than he is going back. And then when you are that type of player and you end up pushing forward, it just leaves the two centre-backs completely exposed, and that's where I think Dortmund have come a cropper in the past. If they played three at the back, I'd understand this whole situation, but they don't. That's why I think Hakimi's done brilliant at Inter. Yeah. Because it fit him so well. Because I remember when we talked about where Hakimi would go, and I was talking about Max Aarons at Norwich. I think he'd suit a back three more than he suits a back four because he likes to go forward. But at Dortmund, they try play a back four with two advanced fullbacks, and it doesn't always work.
Well, do you know what'll be interesting next season? Is when Marco Rose comes in, because Gladbach sometimes will tinker with three at the back. So whether he brings that to the table or not, and maybe plays free at the back when he comes in. I don't know, but everyone has been saying it is the Six Nations. It just started up again, because I said I don't watch rugby, but I'd assume it started up quite recently. And then Chris in the building, how you doing? But he's put breaking news. Carlisle have won a game now in all seriousness. Much needed win to hopefully boost the confidence, which is a good win against Bradford.
Yeah. And speaking of wins, we have got, this could lead to a Dortmund one, because we've got a good free kick just on the edge of the box. Royce will take it over the wall and off the crossbar.
That is a brilliant... Did he get a touch on that in the end?
No, I think he just went straight off the crossbar.
I thought he got a slight touch to it, but it's a good free kick in the end. We're going to see it again here.
Yeah,
it just went off the crossbar. It looked like Jarstein had got high and got a slight touch onto it, but just hits the crossbar in the end. Need a little bit more dip on that, and that would have maybe been going into the back of the net.
I can see what you mean, though, because I've got to admit, if it's on target, I genuinely think Jarstein has his angles covered, and he does tip it over the bar. It was a really good leap by the Norwegian goalkeeper, is it?
Norwegian. Spot on.
There we go. Look at geography. It's honestly, I should have done that instead.
I will say though, we're nearly 20 minutes into this, which it feels like a very quick 20 minutes.
It does.
Not really seeing anything from Hertha, which is expected. It is a case of really playing deep defensively so far, and as you'd expect, Dortmund over 70% possession in this match. It is pretty much an attack v defence drill, as Kieran's put. Is this game as shit as we thought, lads?
Do you know what? I don't want to make a judgment within 20 minutes that it's a shit game.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, yesterday, the lads that were in here with me, during the first half, we had a good 30 minutes of nothing, but my lord did it pick up in the end. Unfortunately for me, it picked up. I'd have took a 0-0 at the end of it now. But there's moments in game, you do go through peaks and troughs, and to be honest, it's been a decent start. There's been some energetic football as Bellingham takes a strike from the edge of the box, but I think it will be which team can kind of force the other one into a mistake quicker, because in terms of Hertha, it's 2 bags of... I was going to say 2 bags of 4, but I'm doing them a misjustice.
Yeah. I don't see where anything's going to come from in this team. There's, when you see teams like, for example, the Hertha team when they last played Dortmund, and they've got a few creative players in there, you'll get a few more chances in the match, because you'll get players like Cunha who will have that spark of brilliance. I don't see one player in this team that'll bring a spark of brilliance right now. And I know we're only 20 minutes in, but your best bet is, as you said before, Cordoba and Piatek. We looked before, Cordoba's not actually played in the team as a starter since December, so this is his first game of the year as a starting player. And Piatek, as much as everybody's quite hyped about him signing because he had that really good spell at Milan that first season and fell off a cliff, he's not really done enough at Hertha to make him look a quality player.
Well, this is the thing, because I wrote about this the other day, and I wrote for every great attacking signing that they believed they were making, in general, Cunha's the only one that's paid off, / Luca Bacchio a little bit, but even then, both of them aren't exactly at the peak of consistency. That is my kind of one problem with Hertha Berlin, is every person they've signed, none of them have worked out to the point where they're a consistent start and they're a consistent name on the team sheet and they impress every week. Cunha's the only one I can think of where I understand it because he's got bags of potential, he's still only young. But for Piatek, he hasn't hit the ground running. He's had spurts of games, that game where he got a brace, but apart from that, and Cordoba, you brought him in, but he's not a 15-20 goal a season striker.
No, he's a decent backup option for me. He's all right at Cologne when that side was firing. Very good player on his day, but he's not one of them players where he's going to be a starting player for me. He'd always be a backup option. And obviously today, in the situation that they've got, they're pretty much playing him right now. And of course, Tubbs asked what happened to Luca Bacchio. Just kind of fell off a cliff, didn't he, really? I don't know whether it's a case of Dardai, since he's come in, doesn't find him a good option to start, but free kick here, lobbed in towards Haaland, and he does get his head on it, but had to play for a goal kick.
I think he scored last week, Luca Bacchio.
I think he did. I think he scored the winning goal in the end, but you just don't see him play as much, and whether they look at him and think he's a better super sub option to bring on because he's got an extra bit of pace, then I completely understand that, because we just seen now he came on 65th minute of last week's game and scored. So it might just be a case of Dardai looks at it and thinks, well, he's a perfect option to bring off the bench because 65, 70 minutes into a match, defenders will get tired, and he'll bring some pace.
But Zivkovic on the right, and he's drilled it towards the middle of the box, and that's what Piatek has a problem with. It got drilled into him, And it's one of them where it's a complete air touch from the striker. And it's one of them, a clinical number 9, gets that out of his feet and has a strike on goal. But in terms of Luka Bacchio, one thing I will say is he can play striker, but he can also play at winger. And with the system Dardai's playing, it's a back 5. There's no space for a winger because the wingers are Zifovic and Plattenhart. So for me, I think it's a system thing. You can play him up front if you want to, and maybe if you want to go more attacking, you switch them fullbacks to wingers. But this is how he likes to start games. So is there really a place for Luka Bacchio in this kind of system? Unless you tell him you're becoming a striker. Yeah,
which I would put him as that because he was a striker before anyway. When he was at Watford, he was a striker. He didn't play much for them in the end, but I think when he originally came to Hertha first, he played as a striker, which as I said, understanding this system, his best bet is playing as a striker because as a wide player, you need to have a bit more of a defensive ability as well as attacking. But the other cards come out. Schulz has got into the book. First, the other card of the game, but Tubbs saying Piatek was a flop. Took minutes away from Luka Bacchio. Piatek's one of them players, and this will be a player from the past that will give me that. Oh, I remember him. Mattia Destro. Can you remember when Destro a few years ago had a really good few years and then he just faded?
Yeah, in the Serie A.
I think Piatek's going to go the same way. He'll become one of those players where, unless he starts getting his arse moved in the next year or two, I don't know, moves elsewhere, gets a good run of form going, I think he'll be another one of those players that was a one-season wonder.
He weirdly also reminds me, and it might be because he's his compatriot, but a bit of Arkadiusz Milik's career.
Yeah.
The way that Milik has kind of gone off the boil a little bit. I bless Milik, it's injuries that's his problem. As if it gets another ball in and it's it free for a header! And it's just past the post.
Yeah, the commentator's curse then.
It wasn't Piatek, luckily for you.
No, he nearly got a touch onto it though, and it's 2-0 Burnley as well, apparently.
Look, he's there on the rebound. If he were a better striker, he's on that.
I mean, it's a brilliant chance. I've got to say, probably good defending from Hummels there, just to keep the gap tightened, because Cordoba in a great position there. Looked like his header was going to be at least on target, if not a goal. But Mats Hummels, he closes him down in the end, makes it awkward for the Colombian. And then, of course, Piatek trying to get towards the near post, but he's reaching for the ball and can't get it in the end. But that, as I said, is one of those minimal chances that they're going to get in this game. And they almost took it.
I kind of feel sorry for the Hertha attacker there, because I don't think they expect the first Dortmund defender to miss the header.
Yeah.
So they're kind of just crouching and hoping like that they get some sort of connection. And sometimes it works favourably, but in this case it didn't get the right connection, because it's one of them where I think the other day in a game where you're expecting the keeper to punch it, and then once he misses it, it just kind of hits you.
Yeah.
And there's no time to react. So, you know, and we were talking about Luka Bacchio earlier, and the only problem I have now with Luka Bacchio being moved striker is Hertha Berlin just sign a shit ton of strikers.
Yeah.
This is what they did. Cunha can play up top. You know, Luka Bacchio can play up top. Redan can play up top. You've got Piatek that can play. Cordoba can play. That's 5 strikers alone. For me, with this defensive thing, it's so hard for Hertha. But I don't think they have their... Do you know what we talk about Southgate all the time? Does he know his best 11? Not a chance to Hertha Berlin know their best 11.
No, but then again, I think because they've had all of the managers coming in and out and such, it's been a bit of a nightmare for him. But he's 2-0 Burnley. Tough saying, my prediction still stands. Now it's time for Everton to score 3, and then Kyle's just put rewind the stream to where Kyle said Burnley would score 2.
You're an absolute... It's another chance again.
Or wouldn't score 2 even.
Yeah, I know. He's an
This, do you know what the problem is with Everton? Is what we said before in the past. Even with Ancelotti there, and it's something that I think they've sorted very slightly, is just they do have this awful tendency of playing great against the top teams.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to playing teams like Burnley, Brighton, they just can't seem to break them down. And I don't know what it is.
They always do enough to stay up as well. That's something that really annoys me about Burnley. That they sometimes look like they're on the periphery of going down, but then they'll pick up a few results. And by the end of the season, with about 3 games to go, they'll be like 11 points. So they just can't go down. And then they'll probably,
They're just very good at getting consistent in the last quarter of the season. And I like it. I like it. I don't mind Burnley as a club. People, of course, they say they're boring. But
no, I'm one of them people.
I look at it and I think to myself, some of the players Burnley have actually brought up in the last few years, we should be a little... Yeah, they are a bit boring to watch sometimes, but we should be a little bit thankful, because there's always 1 or 2 players in Burnley's team that eventually move on elsewhere and become potentially England internationals. I mean... Michael Keane for Everton started off a bit patchy for him, but I think they're quite happy they've got him now. You've got Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Heaton, Pope. just to name a few players.
Dwight McNeil will be.
Yeah, McNeil's going to be one of them. And then, as I said, of course, you've always got the front two of Wood and Barnes that just seem to be scoring. I mean, Burnley apparently nearly made it 3-0, so that would have been Tubbs' prediction out the window then if they scored 3. But
I'm just being absolutely bullied, right? Right, it was a bad prediction. Kyle, come on, you can relate. You know what a bad prediction is. It's every other day you give me a bad prediction.
Oh, is it 1-1 on the score between Kyle and Kieran?
And Tubbs, I do apologise. And yes, I remember Marco Richter because we talked about him and then he scored. And I'm just, why do I even turn up to these things?
Honestly.
Take it from me, Josh. Go.
Well, Dortmund, 28 minutes in, still dominating possession, as we said before. Not really much going on for that big chance that they had earlier on. Was the best chance they had of the game. Oh, Galatasaray won 3-0. ENQUIRIES scored a second one. You'll love to see it. But Hertha done all right. I don't think Dortmund have had many chances so far in the match to come forward. Haaland has been non-existent. I think we've had the one little header from him which wasn't on target. But apart from that, best chance of the game was probably that Hummels one.
Yeah. I think for...
Or the Royce free kick even.
For Dortmund it was that and also Hertha had their fair share of opportunities as well, to be honest. It's not been completely sit back by Hertha Berlin. Yes, their attacks have been few and far between, but when they have got forward, they've genuinely looked like they might score, which I think is exactly probably what Dardai wants to see in this first half.
And it'll make it interesting because if it does go in at half time and it's 0-0, there will probably be a little bit of Hertha thinking we can go on and win this, and maybe it's just a case of being cautious in the first 15-20 minutes of the second half to weather out the storm. But as the game goes on, if it stays 0-0 or if they get a goal, let's say before half time, they will be looking and thinking they can get something in this match, and it's a ball whipped in from Plattenhardt which goes straight into the hands of Marwin Hitz. But quite an interesting one, Hitz being in goal. I know Berkey's been out injured for these last few weeks, but what do you think of Hitz?
I think he's awful. No, I don't think he's awful. I'm worried every time. If I was a fan, I would hate to see him lining up, because for me, shot stopping is okay, but in terms of literally, if the ball's coming in, I want him to command the area. I don't trust him, and I don't trust him to take the nerves out of a situation. That's what you want from a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper that settles the back four. If you are under the cosh. Even Berkey's not great at it, to be honest with you. I think Dortmund should look for a new goalkeeper eventually. But especially in Marvin Hitz, now Berkey's out. I don't know about you. If I was the back four, I would always be nervous that there's a mistake coming from behind me. We saw it during the Sevilla game. He makes some good saves, but also there's always a mistake there as well.
Yeah, he's one of those where there was a reason why he was playing at Augsburg a few years ago. He's probably
nothing wrong with Augsburg, Josh.
No,
good side Augsburg.
Nothing wrong with them at all. But he's probably once again like Schulz. He's a probably decent player for some of the mid-table teams, and I'm talking maybe teams like I'm trying to think like Augsburg, Cologne, and that. He'd be a good keeper for them because he's got Bundesliga experience and such. But when you look at top teams across world football and you look at the backup goalkeepers that they've got these days, there's some exceptions here and there. I think probably one of them, I'm trying to think of like Bayern, for example, they've got Nubel, who I think is a decent backup. They've got Ulvik, who I think is also a decent third option. But
you're just talking in general good backups, because I remember watching Augsburg last night. I think the Czech goalkeeper Kubek to back up Gikiewicz, I think that's two players that are at the same level and could compete for the starting job in that team.
I mean, technically Freiburg next season, I think Schwoller's on loan, so Freiburg would have Florian Muller, Schwoller, which I think two decent goalkeepers to have as backups. But you look across the board at the biggest clubs in Europe, they've all got decent backup options. City have got Stefan, who I think is a very good option on the table. Liverpool is an exception to that, but we'll obviously leave Liverpool to the side. Chelsea, as much as people berate Kepa, I still think he's a very good keeper, just low on confidence.
Yeah.
And that's maybe Dortmund's issue. And I tell you one thing, I think one player they should probably look at if they were to maybe get the goalkeeper position, all depends on when Fulham stay up or not. Areola, I think he'd be a great player to get.
I genuinely think it's... Everton have scored, there you go.
2-1, sounds like a good game.
I know, yeah. Well, it's one of them where, on paper, one of them games where you wouldn't have maybe...
There's maybe a chance if Haaland...
What a
brilliant touch, I think, in the end.
Is it Dardai?
I think it was Dardai who got a touch on the ball just to get it away from Brandt and Haaland, who were closing in within the box. And it was Calvert-Lewin that's got the goal, by the way, in that game. But you can see their lovely ball into the path of Brandt. And it was actually Yeah, Dardai got a touch. Really good work from the Hungarian. His dad will be quite happy on the touchline with that. But just gets it out for a
starting
corner.
11 next week.
Oh, 100%.
That's going on the highlight reel.
I think he's been in the starting lineup ever since Dardai's come in, which is, of course, quite interesting. It's a bit of a very Lampard Mount situation, but a bit of a family one more than Lampard's is in terms of when he gets picked. But corner in, could all be for nothing if this goes in the back of the net.
And it's one of them headers where it looks on the camera like it's heading towards goal, and then before you know it, it's back out on the edge of the box. But it's still another wave by Dortmund, and they'll keep the ball in and around the area as Royce tries to find a ball into the box, and they'll just go backwards. But as England's number 9 gets Everton back in, come on. I think he's got to go with the Euros, mate, genuinely.
Be interested to see what happens with the Euros, with what England do. I said we've got international friendlies coming up. Sorry, not international friendlies, international fixtures coming up. Got qualifiers for the World Cup next year to do. So I think that'll be a good option to bring some of those players. Considering I think one of the games we've got is San Marino, so that might be a good opportunity to just get a few of the players that haven't played in the England team, get them in there for what will be an easy win, no doubt. But going to be a chance if Dortmund to come forward. Haaland's in the box. Going to be a chance for this ball to be whipped in.
What a save!
And that is a brilliant save from Swallow. Gets his right hand to it and tips it over for a corner.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I thought it was Dahoud, it was Bellingham. It was an overlapping run on the right.
I thought it was Dahoud, it wasn't, was it?
No, and it's pulled back into the middle. All the defenders are dragged with Haaland on his run, and it just leaves Bellingham free near the penalty spot. Great save by the left hand of Rooney Yarstein to get it over the crossbar. Really good save.
Does really well. Really, really well. You can tell he's diving towards the left hand side, just gets that right fingertip to it. Connor's lofted in towards Ireland and it's cleared away, but doing really good here to hold on. 30 minutes in.
There's no one. There is literally no one.
Well, no, but this is the thing. They've got pretty much every man back right now. Someone like Cunha would be perfect to have there on the counter-attack. Yarstein even, not Swallow. I'm having a nightmare. It's Yarstein in goal, isn't it, today? Swallow's on the bench, but Yarstein makes good save. Going towards his left-hand side, just gets his right hand out to stop the opportunity, but really good work from him in the end. Still 0-0, and for me, it feels a little bit of a case of Hertha holding on slightly. Dortmund really dominating in this game now. Not really seen any chances from the away side since they had that header from Cordoba about 10 or 15 minutes ago, but if they can get in at half-time 0-0, be very happy indeed.
They will be, and especially, to be honest, Dortmund have had a few flaring opportunities. I think, Hertha will be happy. It's not quite, they're not quite on last chance at the back in terms of, Dortmund aren't battering down the door, but it's getting close to that stage where they are hanging on for dear life. And I think with 10 minutes to go, Dortmund are just going to keep applying the pressure and wait for Hertha to crack. Sorry.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's not a case of them having to push players forward. Hertha allowing them the space to attack as such, and I think it's been a pretty decent performance so far from the front line. They've had a few chances here and there, but as this game continues on, Turek, very similar how Hertha will be happy if we're 60-65 minutes and it's 0-0. Turek won't be. He'll be looking and thinking, well, we've got to get something soon because we can't be coming out of this match with a 0-0 draw. We've had 15-20 shots in the game. I think that's been Dortmund's problems sometimes, very Everton-esque. I think they can go out there and get good results against some of the top teams and maybe not Bayern as such, but against some of the smaller teams they do struggle. Last year I think we saw them struggled multiple times against Paderborn and teams like that, and this is where they need points right now because it's not just a case of getting the Champions League spot. They are now fighting for a Europa League spot as well with the rest of the teams around them. Yeah,
exactly, and I'll be honest with you, I think when it comes to Dortmund, without trying to put too much on it, most of their attacking football starts and ends with Erling Haaland. If Erling Haaland is having a game where he's a little bit absent, and trust me, it doesn't happen very often. He's in most games, even the games where they lose, like the games against Bayern Munich, Haaland's there. But the worry is that if he doesn't get the opportunities, you need someone in and around him to step up. Usually it's Sancho. Sancho's injured. So today, apart from that amazing save by Rooney Yarstein, who is going to be around him that's, Hazard, is he going to step up? Royce, I know his best days are behind him, but is he going to be the man? It's hard for Dortmund when Haaland's not had such an impactful first half as we usually expect.
Yeah, it's one of those where they do kind of regret not maybe getting a backup striker and maybe selling Paco Alcacer off. Somebody like that coming off the bench could be decent in the end, and it'll be somewhere where they'll definitely look to improve. In fact, it might not even be a case of them looking to prove the second strike. It might be a case of buying 2 because they might lose Haaland depending on what happens in the summer. But I think they definitely need to go out there and get a good backup striker because, once again, all the top teams in the world, they have good strikers that can come off the bench and make a difference. You've got to look at teams like, I'm trying to think, Liverpool, they've got Jota that can come on. City have got plethora of players. Bayern Munich have got Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting who can come off the bench and make a difference. And Dortmund, they just need somebody out there to get into this team as a good backup option. And I think we were saying before, me and Tubbs, we were saying in the past, Mark Uth, we talked about him being at Cologne. He's only 28, 29. I think he'd be a decent little option to have off the bench. He's got plenty of Bundesliga experience with him. And, we've always said in the past, players that have played in relegation sides and stuff will play better in big teams because they've got a plethora of good players around them. And I think they don't have to spend big money on a second choice option, but they're spending big money anyway if Haaland goes, so it doesn't matter.
It says a lot about an attacker when they are making an impact in a side that doesn't have a great supporting cast. Yeah. And that does say a lot about these relegation threatened teams, and I understand where you're coming from with that, to be honest with you. But again, what they need is probably a starter because I don't think Haaland's here much longer. Nah, I think as much as Dortmund want to keep on to him, his agent's quite open and honest, saying he wants to let him go, but Cordoba's going to be coming down here. Really good opportunity for Colombian on the left wing, plays ball to Piatek. There's a man free on the right hand side, and it's Dada, I think, and he's going to go with it for the left. I think that's very selfish, actually. I think the counter attack was really good from Piatek and Cordoba. They'd strung up a nice couple of 1-2s on the left hand side, but unfortunately, Derrida in the end, I think it was. Oh, Derrida, not Dada. Sorry, the attacking midfielder. Yeah, he's should have probably laid it off in the end. I thought maybe a chance there to try and just whip a ball into the box. Cordoba had made the run inside. He was ready for it, so kind of expect him to go down that route. But there's a chance here for Piatek to get the ball from Mori. Good defending from the Spaniard who has come into the side recently. The ball's been nicked from him though. He's ended up on the deck. Piatek cuts in field. Mori does very well. Still got it though, Piatek. Done really well there. Now it's Derrida. Could be a chance here for her to have that one opportunity in this game. It's going to be not Milstadt, Planhart on the left wing. Can they have one more chance? Lucas Toussaint. I've got a feeling he's hitting this, and that was it's probably not the best in the world. But one player who, as I said, been quite been a decent sign for him is Toussaint because he's coming to the side, and I think he's been probably the one decent signing that has played every week. Yeah, he has. I was actually writing about him the other day, and to be honest, he's been an okay signing. If you look at his past games, he's not really been the standout player. It's hard to be a standout player from CDM. Don't get me wrong, but also, because Hertha have been playing so poorly, he hasn't really had time to prove that he's been worth the money. Because it was a big money deal. It was 22 million, I think he came up to in English pounds anyway. And last week was the real week where he shone. He got man of the match last week, and I think he was a real kind of important player in breaking up the play in front of the back four for Hertha Berlin. But he's still got a long way to go in terms of proving he was worth the money. But I think out of him, Cunha, he's on the right track to become worth it because he's another one that's still so young. Oh yeah, exactly. I think he's probably to play where if they did go down, let's say, he probably would stay with them because of the money that they've spent on him. I think he'd probably be very interesting to watch in Bundesliga 2. The chance here for her to come forward again, and it's the ball from Piatek just a little bit too heavy in the end. But let's have a look at the chat. Roman, obviously, as you said, 3-1 win for Adelaide. Good result that was this morning. Good game. Daz asked us in the chat, Josh Kieran, who do you think will get the Sheffield United job? I'm going to say Neil. I think Neil Lennon's going to get it. Oh, God. Yeah, I've got. I don't know why. I've got a slight feeling Neil Lennon's going to go in for it because, well, it's been an interesting one to see how he does. I don't think he deserves it. What's Nigel Pearson doing? He's at Bristol City these days, isn't he now? He just got a job, didn't he? Not too long ago. And Pardew's available. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where because Sheffield United are down now, realistically speaking, it's not a case of having to bring a manager in for the last quarter of the season to try and steady the ship. They can bring somebody in who can kind of build a side from the ground up and start early. That's the interesting thing about it is, and also you're not looking at the same level of manager as you are when you're a Premier League time. Like you just wait a minute because the ball's over at Thorgan Hazard's feet on the right hand side. And he does a really nice 1-2 with Royce, then puts it back into Royce. He's missed the hit. Oh, it's an air shot from. Look at the frustration from Hazard as well. He knows that's
probably the best chance that we'd have had of the game, as I think Cordoba will get a free kick here. And he's asking for a card from the referee, but probably get a card himself at this rate with how the game goes. But got to be putting that in the back of the net, in my opinion, Royce.
Yeah, it was really nice 1-2 between Hazard and Royce, and it ended up being a double 1-2 as he played it back to him. He just went to prod it with his toe. Maybe it was just a little bit too far in front of the guy, but he's got to be at least making some level of contact to trouble Jarstein. But in terms of this last 5 or so minutes, turned into quite a nice open game, actually, from Hertha getting their attack earlier, and then Dortmund are always dangerous when Hertha commit men forward, which they have done, to be fair. It wasn't exactly the 8 defenders we expected.
No, they need to get something soon, I think, Dortmund, because as the game goes on, Hertha could be quite happy to sit there and take a point. As I said, every point now in this stage of the season is critical in terms of the relegation battle, because as we said before, as teams like Mainz pick up points, they will get slowly dragged down there. Yeah. Exactly. So Hertha, if they can come out with a 0-0 draw, they'll take that in the end. And even at half time, I know there's 2 minutes left, but if you were to say to them at half time 0-0, I think, considering the kind of makeshift midfield they've got today, I think they'd be quite happy with that. Yeah,
of course, and obviously you have Arminia play tomorrow against Leverkusen, not on great form themselves, Leverkusen. So if Arminia pick up points tomorrow, this relegation battle becomes extremely intense, as across from the right-hand side is tipped by Rooney Jarstein. It will go out for a throw-in on the opposite side.
Big moment here. Don't want to go in at half-time at 1-0 down, because that obviously changed the team top for Dardais. There might be a chance here for De Gea to play the ball into Haaland. Quite heavy ball in the end, which the Norwegian can't get. He's been pretty quiet in this first 45 minutes, not really had much to do.
I tell you what, if Hertha can string together an efficient counter-attack, they can trouble this Dortmund side, because there's only 2 centre-backs back at all times. And when they've been squared up with Cordoba and Piatek, we saw it earlier, they can cause problems. It's just...
They're too deep, I think.
Yeah.
You can see, if you're watching the game along with us, really, really deep back line. Cordoba and Piatek are kind of really far... they're in their own half pretty much. They're not towards the halfway line. They're actually a little bit further back than that. So it's hard for them to press forward, which is why it'd be nice if they had someone like Cunha, so they could have that one player who they can loft the ball long to, who can get at Dortmund's defence. Because right now, not really seeing it from any of the 2 players up top. There's little glimpses of what they can do, but they need something quick.
It's also hard because when they're counter-attacking, it is just Piatek and Cordoba, and if you had someone in behind that was a midfield runner that can go make runs beyond the front 2. Derrida had that moment when he was on the right-hand side, but he went for the shot instead. But to be fair, credit Hertha Berlin when they have had moments going forward. It's just the fact that no one's advanced from the middle of Hertha's own defensive half apart from one player, and it's Matthias Kuhn. John Cordoba. Sorry.
John Cordoba, yeah. How are we doing, Reece? Hope you're good buddies. Put yo, good to see you as always, lad, as we're going to get a goal kick here, and I would assume probably maybe... A minute, maybe no minutes of additional time in this game. 0-0 is looking like it's going to go in at half-time. Not a bad result for Hertha Berlin, but they're going to have another 45 minutes to work as we do go into additional time, and there will be a total of...
Well, the man's gone with board, so we don't know what moment. But
no time. I'm going to be half time instantly. No time added on in the match, which means half time. Dortmund 0, Hertha Berlin 0. Not many chances for Hertha Berlin as we expected. They've got 7 defenders on the pitch tonight, makeshift midfield, which does include a left back playing as a midfielder. But so far, so good for Hertha Berlin. They've had 1 or 2 little chances, as we said. But in terms of when you look at the XG, 0.6 XG for Hertha Berlin, 0.7 for Dortmund. Not too bad when you look at it in that respect.
No, I think, to be fair, Hertha Berlin have a little bit less. I don't think they've had as many chances, but they've given as good as they've got from Borussia Dortmund. In clear-cut opportunities, I think I agree, Dortmund have just slightly edged it. But when Hertha have come forward, they have looked dangerous and they look like they can cause some level of problem for Dortmund. And as much as Marvin Hitz hasn't been troubled, the chances they've had were extremely close, like especially that header that was there early in the game. But in terms of Hertha Berlin, they'll be much happier with that first half. I think in terms of the way they've got 7 defenders, it hasn't actually been that boring of a half. I think it's been a quite competitive game, end-to-end in moments. But overall, I think Dortmund need to find that goal soon, because they'll start getting frustrated and they'll start rushing things in the final third, and then that leaves them open to the counter-attack. That it seems to be the game plan for Hertha Berlin.
Yeah, exactly. And it is the case as well for Dortmund, as we were saying earlier, the whole fact that they're fighting right now just for a spot in Europe, not just the Champions League. They need to get these points because teams around them like Gladbach, Leverkusen, what I was wanting to say, not Gladbach, they're a long way away from that. Leverkusen, Union Berlin, they're all quite close by. Hoffenheim, I think, are quite close by as well. So they all need to try and get themselves points on the board, because if Dortmund do drop points tonight, it's going to be a big opportunity for those sides to maybe knock Dortmund out of the top 6, maybe not Gladbach as what I said earlier, but 0-0 at half time. Still got plenty more content to come on the channel in the next few days. Now the advert will be a little bit behind. If you missed it this morning, the Melbourne Victory Adelaide United game, that is available on the YouTube channel if you want to watch that. That's was with Rome this morning. Good game that was. And then of course we're watching Dortmund Hertha Berlin right now. Second half coming up in about 10 or 15 minutes time. But we've got more watch-alongs to come. Don't forget you can join us on Sunday afternoon. It's going to be me and Kieran who are going to be doing the North London derby, Arsenal v Spurs. Should be an interesting game indeed. That's from 4:25. We've got free agency frenzy, which we'll talk about in a little bit. That's on Monday. That's going to be with Will and Kieran. So if you're a big fan of NFL, then it's going to be well worth checking that out. And then, of course, if you haven't taken part in the UCL FIFA Sim Tournament, there are 10 spaces left. I think there's actually 9 spaces left, so spaces are running out. The instant minute we get 32 players, I'll give a date of when we're going to start it. But, of course, we just want to fill the spots up at first. So cash or gift card prize is what I want to say for the winner. Not going to be a big prize, but it'll be a little one as a big thank you for taking part. You don't need an Xbox or a PlayStation or even FIFA to take part. The AI will sim it, but you get to take control of the team and you get to choose the formation that you want to play. So a lot of the tactics and emphasis is on you guys. As I said, 9 spots left. They're running out. The instant minute we hit 32, we'll get that tournament underway as soon as we possibly can. But if you do want to play, then do put your name in the comments below and we'll add you to that list. But it looked like, as they were saying in the chat, it looks like Pickford's come off injured. So they brought on João Virginia, which is quite an interesting choice on the table. But when you look half-time of this match, what do you think Dortmund need to do? Do they need to change anyone? Maybe bring 1 or 2 players on? Because when you look on the bench tonight for Dortmund, as you can see, now they've got the likes of Reina on the bench, Rainier, Makoko, if they want to go for a few young players. Do you think maybe it's a case of making a change, bring someone on, spice it up?
I wouldn't say just yet, because I do think they've been the better team in that first half, but most of the success for Dortmund has come down that right-hand side, and I think someone put in the chat about how important Matteo Mori's been. He's had a very good game. But on that right-hand side, I do think he's been the more dangerous of the two. If you're looking at the bench for Borussia Dortmund at the moment, in terms of players who can make a difference, you're actually quite limited. It's Reina, Makoku and Rainier, as much as that's going to be annoying when they both come on to try and specify which is which. But then, in terms of maybe you drop one of Bellingham and Dahoud and take them off and bring on another creative midfielder, but that leaves you a massive hole in the midfield. So they won't make any immediate changes, but I wouldn't be surprised if Reina comes on in one of the winger positions for maybe Royce or Hazard, because Hazard had fleeting moments and Royce hasn't looked, the Royce of years past, who's been finishing most of them opportunities. So I think that's the immediate look to on the bench. I don't know about you, Josh, but the rest are defenders and defensive midfielders, really.
Yeah, it's probably one of those right now. Of course, Dortmund have got a few players of their own out, injured, missing the odd player here and there, but I think they've got decent enough options from the bench that could come on and maybe make a difference. I think at some point we will see Gio Reyna come on. I don't think Royce ever tends to last the full 90 minutes anymore. Usually take him off after about an hour and 10 minutes or so in a game, but I think we'll see someone like that come on maybe a little bit earlier, depending on that first 10 or 15 minutes. I think if you're going in at half time, there'll be a little bit of frustration that they've not had a goal in this game as of yet. I think they've had the chances and opportunities, but nothing too major. It was that one real opportunity which was saved by Jarstein from Bellingham that I would say is the best chance in the match. But when you look at the actual bench for Hertha tonight, there's 1 or 2 players that could maybe make a difference, but who would you say is more likely to come on first to change this game up if needed?
Well, I think we have to bring on more defenders, Josh. I don't think there's enough on the pitch to really handle it, so let's sub off the 2 strikers for Pekarik. But in all seriousness, I do think Luka Bacchio is the one that will come on eventually at maybe one of the striker positions, because if he comes on for one of the midfielders, it'll be a change of shape, which will be interesting to see, because admittedly, to credit to Hertha, their game plan has worked to a T so far. So I don't think he'll be in a rush to make changes. But I said that yesterday, and Augsburg made one. But Luka Bacchio is the immediate one. You look at Dillerson as well, provides a bit of pace. Leckie, for me, he's an out-and-out winger, so there would have to be a system change with the fullbacks, unless you want to play him as a right wing-back, which is a dangerous option. But again, besides them three, the other substitutes, as much as I'm taking the piss, are genuine defenders.
Yeah, and maybe it's a case of they could have one chance in the match, maybe 1 or 2 shots on target, they get a goal, and then they go, do you know what? Let's go even more defensively, because they could play one up top, and they could bring on Luka Bacchio, let's say, later on in the match, take off a Piatek or Cordoba, bring on more defenders, and then just hoof it long to a player who's got a little bit more pace than Cordoba or Piatek. I can't see it happening. I think they will stick for the two right now, give it probably a little bit more time than Dortmund to make that change, but I'd say around about 65th minute, we'll see Luka Bacchio come on, and I think he is the one player. I'm surprised he maybe didn't start in this match, but he's a perfect super sub to bring in again because, well, Dortmund's not really been massively tested at the back, so someone like him could give 1 or 2 extra chances in the game.
For me, it depends if Dardai's willing to make the change at 0-0. You know, is he willing to go from a 5 to a 4 at 0-0, or is he, kind of smash and grab, get out of here with a point, stick with the 5, because the 5's working.
Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see whether that is a reactionary thing to going 1-0 down, or
whether he's a gambling man and he wants to try and go for the win.
Exactly.
Because you could also be looking at it and thinking, do you know what, boys, we're playing very well. Dortmund haven't taken the chances. Give it 15-20 minutes, they might have still not been taking the chances, and he might think to himself, we can go and get the 3 points.
I think
it's a big risk, though.
This is the frustrating thing, I think, when you look at a manager's decision, is there's always the opportunity to be proactive and make the attacking change, but there's also a tendency to get lulled into like a sense of security. You're happy with the 5 at the back and the way it's working. You concede in the 89th minute, and then it's too late to get back into the game. You've made all your subs to stay regimented, and then it's like when teams make defensive subs at 1-0 up with 30 minutes to go. It's like eventually, if they then get back into the game, you're stuck with 5 centre halves, and now you can't go on and eventually win the game how you like to. So it'll be interesting to see if Dardai takes the proactive or reactionary approach in the second half. I think, as we said, there's a few interesting storylines to go into it.
Absolutely. Tubbs is put in the chat, be back later, out for a snack. Have a good snack, Tubbs, in a bit.
Someone scored when he went for a snack the other day.
Did he? Oh, well.
That was last night. Augsburg scored when Tubbs went for a snack.
It should be alright. Both games at half time that he's watching, so it should be all good in the end. And then Daz asked in the chat, predictions for Fulham Man City, because that's a little bit later on tonight. I'm going to go, do you know what? 2-2.
Oh,
I've got a feeling Fulham. I love watching them. As I said, I think it'll be criminal if they go down. Man City this last week, regardless of the fact that they did beat Southampton 5-2, they have shown a little bit of a defensive frailty at given points. I'm just going to go 2-2 because why not? It was very similar to what Kyle said earlier. You know, rather than going 3-0 Dortmund, he's going to go for something different in the hope it actually comes off. But I'm going to go 2-2. I think Fulham are a good side to watch. Important thing is as well, they're an attacking side, which Man City don't tend to play many teams that will attack them. And I hope tonight Scott Parker doesn't go defensive. I was going to say the
exact same thing.
Because I've got a slight feeling a lot of managers will tactically tweak and say, well, try and hit on the break. Take them on.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. I want them to play like Fulham play. I don't want them to completely change their system because they're placing, this big bad of Man City. I was actually going to go with the draw as well, but I was going to go with 1-1 because that's why I was a bit surprised at 2. So I was like, 2 goals maybe not, but I was going to go with 1-1. My heart says 1-1. If we were going realistic, I think Man City are probably more likely to win the game than Fulham. We're not stupid, but I think Fulham can get a point if they play like they.
Bit of home advantage as well. I think they do quite alright against some of the top teams.
Yeah.
Did very good twice when they played Liverpool. I think in the last game against City, I can't remember what the score of that match was. In fact, I'm going to check it now just to see what it was, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't like a massive battering from them in the end. Can't bloody spell
I don't know what that was.
It's because I'm desperately reaching over. But the last time they played them, I thought it was. They only lost 2-0 in the end.
Yeah.
So it's not a massive result, but they haven't actually scored against Manchester City since 2013. So when you look at it in that respect...
But they were in a different league for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, very different managers playing very different systems. And I think this is the most attacking I've seen Fulham for quite some time. It's breathtaking to watch.
Yeah, they're a really good side, and as we say, credit they're in a different league. This was like when I was writing about Hertha Berlin and said that Labadia almost lasted a year, but that was because he spent half the time in a pandemic not playing.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason he lasted so long. It's a bit like Fulham haven't scored, but they've also not been there. And this year, Fulham will give people a really good game no matter who they play. And this is what I think me, you, Simon, and KD have all said it. We really want them to stay up because they're fearless, and that's what we really appreciate about them.
Exactly. Carl's put the chat. He's hoping that it's 1-0 Fulham tonight, so everybody hoping that Fulham upset City, which would be an interesting story, of course. I think they're probably one of the better teams right now to be able to go and do it based on form. But the other game that's going on, I know you're not part of it tomorrow, but the North London derby, Arsenal Spurs. I know Ree's big fan. He's put 2-0 Spurs, not biased, of course, as a Spurs fan. But what you think about that game? Because for me, who knows? I think Spurs are going into it as the confident side, and I think people were expecting Spurs to go on and win it. But you never know with North London derbies. They always seem to bring the very best out of the players. Yeah,
Spurs, I'd say are small favourites. But Arsenal have definitely come on in the last couple of months. You know, they're not the same Arsenal side that were really rolling over at the start of the year and kind of having a mare week in, week out. I think it'll be a really close game. It's another one that I could see ending a draw.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends 0-0. Unfortunately, that's just the way it could go. But if I was to give an edge to anybody, I think Tottenham are on some really good form right now. But we don't know about Harry Kane. Got injured midweek. I'm pretty sure he'll play.
I think he's all right to play.
I'm pretty sure he'll play. But if he re-aggravates it when he's playing this week, you know, it's probably one of the more interesting storylines going into the game. But I'll probably go with a draw for that one.
The first thing that came to mind for me was 4-1 Spurs, and I don't know why.
Wow.
I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm going to go. Yeah, do you know what? 4-1 Spurs. And the one goal Arsenal score will probably be the first goal of the game, and it'll give them the confidence and stuff. But it all depends for me on how Arsenal are at the back, because when they played Olympiacos, watched that game. Wasn't the greatest game in the world. It was quite interesting to see Olympiacos how they approached it. But it's 2 weeks now, or 2 matches in a row where they made defensive mistakes, and for a little bit of time, specifically the Burnley game, for large parts of it, it didn't help them at all. The performance was it was tough, and I know teams like Burnley, they will sit back and just defend for their lives to take a point. But even against Olympiacos, there was like a 10-15 minute spell where Olympiacos just dominated in the game, and I can see Spurs going a little bit more attacking in this match, because Mourinho, he wants to win. He wants to win over Arsenal, get it over them, and I think Spurs will go and attack the match. I hope.
I think I saw a stat, and I can't remember if it's for 2021 or not, but like something out like all the goals Arsenal have conceded like in 2021, half of them have been unforced errors, and that's the one thing about Arsenal. If they didn't cause their own problems, they wouldn't be a bad side. Wouldn't be a bad side. They just shoot themselves in the foot. The game against Olympiacos, Leno shot himself in the foot. The game against Burnley, Leno shot my favourite midfielder in the foot and made him look like the culprit. But yeah, that's what I mean. So if Arsenal can stamp out the mistakes, I could see both teams winning this game. And I know Spurs are the favourites, but I think I'll go with a draw, because it's like when Spurs were definitely they felt like a power shift in North London, and then there was that game where Lacazette scored, and then Aubameyang had the chance to win it with the penalty, and then he missed the penalty.
Yeah.
So as you say, in these games, anything can be.
Form goes out the window.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
It doesn't matter in terms of how both teams have played in the last few weeks. We've seen in the past where Arsenal come in as the team that have maybe had a bit of patchy form, and then they go on and win the match, and it kind of revitalises the season a little bit. But right now, it's going to be a tough task when it comes to playing Tottenham, just because of how good Tottenham have been playing recently. They've been on form again, which, you know, it was only a few weeks ago we sat here saying kind of Spurs are looking a bit boring again, but now they're looking very interesting to watch against. And it's kind of coincidentally, ever since Roy Keane came out with those comments and said, you know, Spurs are pretty boring and not going to do much, they've now actually just turned it up a notch.
Yeah, the average squad comment.
Yeah, exactly, and they've just turned it up now, which is quite interesting. I mean, Reeves put Spurs are taking this home.
I can't say they called me or you a hater. I don't know which one it was. But
he's probably calling me a hater.
Interesting thing for Hertha is Redan is doing a quite intense warm-up. And also, Is that Pekarik getting his socks on?
Yeah, that was Pekarik as well.
So I don't know if we are going to see some changes, because that was an intense half-time warm-up, so I think we'll see them soon. That's interesting.
Might be a case of the first 10 or 15 minutes, just see how it goes, because Cordoba's there. Piatek's got his... both of them have still got the shirts on, of course. Might be a case when they get outside there is a change, but Radan must be the one option that they might be bringing on at some point in the match, which will be very interesting indeed to see how it goes.
Sure it's Redan. Let me just have a look on the bench. He's wearing number 42. Redan's not even on the bench. Who is that? Oh, he's Zifawik. Why is he out on his own?
Must have just came out early.
Oh, there you go. So that's complete confusion. I wondered, that looked like a sub, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looked like a sub. He wasn't. He was in the training gear for a second. Are they just testing him to see whether he's picked up an injury? That's why Pekarik.
Maybe he was. If he's fit enough to continue, that would make complete sense then.
Yeah, that's fair, because obviously Pekarik getting ready to come on, probably a decent substitution in terms of the right mid. You can see a bit of spray on his knee as well,
yeah.
So probably just a case of checking if he's all right. But DJ K, Gasio, how are you doing? Hope you're all good. Welcome to the stream, buddy.
Hello.
We've got a second half to come. What do you think is going to happen? Still 0-0 by the end of the game, or do you think Dortmund take this?
I think, to be honest with you, I think what I want for this game, I've just said I think 7 times. So what I'd like is Hertha to open the scoring, because that would set up a really interesting end to the game.
Yeah.
In terms of how Dortmund and both Hertha Berlin would approach it. I think for Hertha Berlin to have a chance of winning this game, they need the first goal. I don't see them coming back in this second half if they are to go a goal down. The first goal, if there is to be one, is crucial. And for me, if Dortmund get it, I don't see Hertha Berlin having the belief to get back into the game.
I think it's not even just a case of having belief. It's just the squad that they've got right now isn't going to be good attacking wise to get back into the match. It's going to be tricky for them.
Yeah.
You know, if they go 1-0 down in a game like this with 7 defenders on the pitch, it's always going to be tough to find that little spark of creativity, and that's where maybe players like Toussaint and Derrida need to shine in this match and take it by the grasp. If Hertha do want to go on and maybe win this, they need to be the two that bring the creativity to the side, because right now, with what we saw in the first 45, yes, they will have chances, maybe from Dortmund mistakes and vice versa, but it's going to be so thick and thin that I think it might be a case of maybe Piatek being the first player to come off and somebody like a Luka Bacchio coming on. But Zifawik stayed on, he's okay, still going to play. Pekarik's obviously available just in case if needed as a sub, with both teams having 5 substitutions. So yeah. I think we'll see a few in about 15-20 minutes time, depending on what happens. But we're back underway at the very least.
Really strange situation that, because it literally looked like there was a substitute warming up. He had the training gear on. Pekarik was also getting ready. Maybe we thought, double change maybe for Hertha Berlin, but it turns out Zifawik could just come out for a little bit of an extra warm up just to see if he's ready. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Just a bit of a sneeze.
Just shut off. Sorry, boys.
No, it's all good. But yeah, just a bit of a warm up to make sure he's all right, because be okay going into it, and then first 5 minutes he does something to his knee, and then you make the substitution anyway. Yeah,
it's exactly. And to be fair, if it's one of them injuries, you might not want to go into. Might not want to go in the changing room. It might be one of them injuries where if you sit for too long, it swells up and stuff like that. So if he just keeps active on it, plays through it, might be the case. Oh, you forgot to plug the website. Okay.
I did indeed. I'll plug it at the end of the match. Poor pass there from Fogg and Hazard in the end, but I'll tell you what. Well, there's a chance. I'll do it now. As Kyle's put in the chat, he always does.
Kyle put it in the chat. Yeah,
he's very quick at it indeed. We have so much to talk about. I'm going to stop for a second. No, I'm not, because Haaland had a chance to go in. But if you want to check the website, sports-corner.com, Twitter at the _top corner, Instagram the sports _ sports corner _ we've got new articles available every day. I put a piece up this morning if you're a fan of Ligue 1. You can look at the team of the season so far, in my opinion. And then, of course, you'll tell us on the website what you think. Are there any other players that we've missed out that you think deserve a spot in the team this season? Then you'll definitely have to tell us in the comment section of the website. But as I said before, if you want to check out our Twitter, it's at the _top corner. If you want to find out when we go live on YouTube and when we post up articles, then that's the best place to go to check everything out. But thank you very much, Carl, for putting that in the chat. We were just talking about Dortmund, there's a lot still riding on this match right now with how it's panned out so far, and I've just seen, did you put the bet on for both teams to score in this match?
Don't want to comment, Josh, on that.
I think you might have. You never know. You never know.
I didn't do the both teams in both halves, and I'm glad I didn't do that.
No, that's fair in the end to have not put that on, but you never know. If Hertha strike first,
that's what
will make it.
Thinking.
Yeah, if Hertha can get the first goal in this game, then it will cause Dortmund to have to push numbers out, maybe bring on someone like a Rainier or a Reina in this match. But they'll not be too worried right now. They know they're in the driving seat of the car, and they've got a long way to go in this match. So it's just a case of how long is it going to be before they break them down.
Yeah, that's the thing. As you said, yeah, they're in the driving seat, and I feel like Hertha are the people just going, "Are we there yet?" Because they just want to get to 90 minutes and take the point.
Yeah,
because they're away from home as well. As much as home advantage isn't a massive thing anymore, to get a point at Signal Iduna on any given night for a team in this position at the moment that Hertha are in is a massive success.
Absolutely. They need just anything right now to keep the season alive, but it's going to be tough because look at how many players Dortmund have got forward. They know everybody's back for Hertha Berlin, so they're just going to push all the numbers forward anyway. As we said before, the defenders are pretty much attackers at given points, but Haaland just giving the ball away. Yeah, it could be a chance for
this is it.
Hertha to come forward. Long ball towards Cordoba. He's going to be up against Mats Hummels, which you'd expect him to beat pace for, and Hummels does really, really well in the end and gets the ball back for the Colombian, although very nearly passed the ball into Christoph Piatek.
But they are the moments we spoke about in the first half, and we acknowledged that was Hertha's best chance of success in this game. Winning the ball in the midfield, pushing the players they have forward, and everything coming through Cordoba, really, which is what we said at the start of the game might be the way they'll play. They just need Cordoba to hold the ball up a little bit better. And to be credit to Hummels, they'll beat him for pace, but in terms of reading the game, I think Hummels has got him all ends up tonight.
Yeah, and that's the experience of one of the best defenders Germany's had of the last decade. He's just a very, very good defender on the ball, and there's a chance here for Dortmund to come forward. All the balls from Bellingham is pretty poor into the path of Julian Brandt there, who just moved into the striker position for a second, but
the clearance is even worse.
Yeah, it is indeed. Reza said he's going to say 3-1 so your bet can come through with both teams to score. And then Carl's asked who would be the manager of the season so far in your opinion, guys. Yeah, you'll have to, if you want us to ask us overall. I mean, Reza's gone Gerrard.
Yeah,
which I think is definitely a good shout.
I don't know his name, but Lille's manager.
Yeah, Galtier. I think his name is Christophe Galtier.
I think he's up there.
He's probably up there. I'd probably say maybe Simeone as well. Should be up there. Haaland's got a chance on goal and he takes the shot on in the end. He's calling for a corner, saying he's deflected off one of the players, but it's offside in the end anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But little glimpses of when that Hertha back line's opened up, you can see it's just one long ball from the back line. It's the correct decision in the end.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so, and it was one of them where it was a really nice ball from Hummels with the outside of his right boot. It times that run to perfection, and Dortmund really their first success in this second half so far with 5 minutes played.
It's been a good start for them. Feel much more lively in my opinion than they did in the majority of the 45. There's a bit more of a vibrance about Haaland already in that first 5 minutes, where it looks a bit more of a hunger and passion to get on the ball. He's the player that they need to get on the score sheet tonight, in my opinion, because he's the best hope of getting a goal. They're missing Sancho still, which is a big loss for them. But
now Cordoba's picked it up. He's got 3 defenders around him. He's decided to go square to... Is it Derrida?
Could be Mittelstadt.
Mittelstadt, who his cross is deep, and it's poor, but Hertha have managed to kind of keep the ball in and around Dortmund's box for the first time in a decent amount of time, really.
Oh, he put in the chat, my bad, I meant the Premier League, but yeah, overall he's good too. It's got to be David Moyes for me. Has to be David Moyes. I think David Moyes has done an incredible job for West Ham this season. I bloody hope they get Champions League or Europa League football, because I've said in the past they deserve it. I'd love to see the London Stadium next season. It'd always be a sellout, because it always is, regardless of whenever they play. And West Ham have deserved European nights for quite some time. All the times they've played Astragogo, lost to them twice, when they should have probably been in the Europa League. It'd be nice to see them in there.
I think Guardiola's the obvious choice, but I'm not selecting him. I'll never select him. Apart from David Moyes, I think another person that I'd probably give a look, Dean Smith. I think he's kind of turned it around at Villa from last year. He's the only other one aside from Brendan Rodgers as well, who's had another brilliant season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, has had a good season with Manchester United to take them to second. But I think David Moyes is the option. But I feel if we're going at the end of the season, Guardiola's going to be the person that wins it.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, if West Ham get UCL football, maybe. Might put Moyes up there a little bit more as the case, but I think Guardiola will have it. But a chance if there's a week who tries to whip a ball into the box and Cordoba's just a little bit too far behind, and it actually felt like Cordoba just stopped his run in the end. And had he continued that run on, maybe there was a chance for him to at least have a shot on goal. Yeah,
Cordoba a bit on his heels there. If he makes a darting run across the front of the defender, can probably prod that one towards goal, and it'd give Hits something to deal with. But again, in this second half, Hertha Berlin offering something going forward, but then they are now being kind of picked apart on the counter-attack with Brandt from range, who strikes it into the back of the net. It's in.
It's in.
It's
in.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's in.
Do you know what the weird thing was that is I didn't celebrate it because it actually looked like it ricocheted off the inside of the, like on the side
advertising board. Yeah.
But well, I mean, to me, I think I'd celebrate, which is a bit of a shame, but that looked very Odegaard-esque from what I saw a few weeks ago. And we're just going to see it now. It was pretty much a counter-attack from the opportunity we were talking about with Hertha Berlin earlier. Ball played to Julian Brandt. He just looks up for a second and he notices...
Oh, that's poor goal.
Yeah, he just notices that space towards the left-hand side of the near post. He hits the ball, and in the end, Jarstein is too late to the shot, and it's really poor goalkeeping. And for me, if you're watching the game, it's very Odegaard-esque from what we saw Odegaard score against Olympiacos a few days ago. It's poor keeping from Jarstein. Yeah,
Julian Brandt hits it, kind of how you'd see the knuckleball technique on a free kick.
Yeah.
The ball is swerving left and right, don't get me wrong, but Jarstein has to get his chest behind the ball, and instead he I'll do it in the screen, he tries to kind of shovel it like this to the side of his body, and it's through his arms. And for a defensively structured Hertha side today, so far, that's a really good, a really heartbreaking goal to give away.
It's a disappointing one. It's a moment where the goalkeeper 9 times out of 10 would be parrying that away or at least saving it. And as Tubbs has put, poor from Jarstein, really, really poor. And it opens the scoring for Dortmund, which is brilliant for them. It only took them 10 minutes in the second half. Hertha Berlin now, we've got to try and go out there with the 7 defenders and get something, although it could get worse for them, because that's the one worry now. Does the scoring increase as the game goes on, as we have another long-range effort that goes out of play from De Hood for a goal kick?
It's annoying because it's what we said at the start of the game, Josh. We spoke to each other and it says, if you're Hertha Berlin, no silly mistakes. And that is exactly, unfortunately, what has cost them in this game so far. There's still a long time to go. There's still 35 minutes in the game. But from arguably the most experienced player Hertha Berlin have, it's a really poor error. And to be honest, he was having a good game before that as well.
He made 1 or 2 good saves. We said Dortmund hadn't had many chances in the match. And I guess it's as they always say, when you just keep having opportunities, eventually put it in the back of the net, or you just have a wonder strike that goes in, and that'll be the difference in the match. And maybe by the end of the game, we're sat here saying it's 1-0 and it was a moment of brilliance, but for a moment of brilliance, it's also a moment of just shocking keeping. 9 times out of 10, you've got that pretty much covered, but as you said, it's the swerve on the ball which just puts Jarstein off. And as I said, very similar to the Odegaard goal, because that one was hit from long range, and that had a hell of a lot of swerve on it, which the keeper couldn't read. So very similar in that respect, but Dada will be very disappointed, and I think we're going to see probably some changes at some point made for Hertha to bring on someone like Luca Bacchio, because Piatek has not done much tonight, but I don't think anybody in the attacking side of stuff has done much apart from Cordoba.
Yeah, but now they've got it on the left-hand side, and I think it is Mittelstadt again who's going to chip it into the box, and it's Cordoba, a decent take on the chest, but they're crowded out eventually. But it's one of them where, Hummels is injured, which is a massive shame. He's just requested a sub.
Yeah, look away, Rowan.
Zagadou would be the immediate thought,
Delaney.
Yeah, I was going to say double centre mid centre backs.
Yeah, so Zagadou's going to come on for Hummels. He's going to come off potentially with an injury. Might just be playing it safe and getting himself taken off just to try and not make it worse. But Tubbs saying he looked like a Sunday League keeper. He did.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't see people hitting a ball like that in Sunday League. So
True.
to Julian Brand. I didn't hit many of them in my career.
And then Kaz, but once again, my prediction flies out of the window.
Me and Kyle is like the Spider-Man we're getting predictions wrong. I feel like me and Kyle can relate on that, and this is why we should never do betting, Josh. Because I am crap at predicting scoreline. Yeah, Hummels is injured. Zagadou. I was going to say, I kind of did want Delaney to come on because then it'd be one team with 8 defenders versus one team with 2.
Yeah.
Because Hummels, because Chan, and that would have been an interesting little.
But Zagadou, better option, of course. French centre back. He comes on with about half an hour left. I don't think he'll have much defending to do tonight, but be interested to see whether we do have Luca Bacchio maybe coming at some point in the next 5 or so minutes, unless Hertha can get something back very quickly because they're coming forward here and they need something in this game now.
I'd like to go Hertha go 4-3-3. Have Dilrosun one side, Luca Bacchio the other, and Cordoba up front.
And just go for it.
Yeah, and you just drop one of the centre-halves out of the team as Toussaint rolls it past Bellingham very nicely, but he's eventually crowded out. And Hertha are pushing men forward. And Zifferwick takes the most cynical challenge and he's going to get a booking, of course.
Yeah, yellow card for him. But a good tackle in the end in terms of the position that Hertha found themselves. With numbers pushed forward, good chance there for Dortmund to counter-attack, which is where the goal came from before. And Zifferwick just takes the yellow card, as I think he'll probably be one of the sub-players players subbed off. Yeah, so they're going to play it safe here. And you can see on his face, he's probably thinking, well, if I didn't get the yellow card, I probably would have still been on the pitch. But Luca Bacchio is coming on, and Matthew Leckie is coming on as well. So 2 attacking changes, and coming off as well as Plattenhardt. So they are going for it now, which is what we love to see.
The 3 at the back will stay a 3 at the back, I believe. But the wingers will now become wingers rather than fullback. So
he's going to leave space open.
It was what we said. It was the reactionary change. They've gone 1-0 down. Luckily for them, it wasn't with like 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So as we said, Dardai didn't have the time to go proactive. But the moment he spotted something, they've gone 1-0 down. I can't blame Hertha Berlin at this point. They are trying to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, I got confused then because the substitution thing on BT said Leckie was coming on, Luca Bacchio off. He's only just come on. Both of them are on together now, so be interested to see whether Luca Bacchio can test this back line. I think he's probably the best player they've got in terms of pace to really get at that Dortmund back line, but he's going to be coming up, sadly, against somebody who has just come on the pitch as well, in Zagadou, so it's going to be quite, I'm not going to say easy for Zagadou, but he will be a lot more fitter than maybe Hummels would have been had he still been on.
Yeah, I know what you mean in terms of like if he drives at him, I think he can I don't think he can match him for pace, but he's got a little bit more energy in the legs than likes of Mats Hummels, and no one spotted that short corner. And he's in and he's hit the crossbar from across again.
I mean, Mahmoud Dahoud, he's scored a few screamers over the last few weeks, and this would have been quite a goal. I mean, I think there's a slight deflection off the foot of Derrida, if we just see it back now. Yeah, it comes off the foot of Derrida, and obviously, because of that slight deflection, it just brings the ball down and very nearly ricochets off the bar and potentially going in. But it's going to be a corner here for Dortmund, which is whipped in by Royce. Back heel from Bellingham. Nothing's going to come from it. And Hertha will clear away. And that's where you can see Luca Bacchio and Cordoba up top together. Although there's a chance here for Dortmund now. Ball whipped into the box. It's become a little bit more end-to-end this.
Yeah, and the thing is, when they're hoofing it forward, they've got one man up there on his own. He's got to hold up the ball and wait for people to join him up front, which is difficult.
Yeah.
Because Cordoba's done a decent job, like I'd say 50-50 tonight at holding up the ball. But when they have them attacking spells, they've got to try and bring the others into play. Which is now, with Luca Bacchio and Leckie on either side, might help them in that aspect to get some width and kind of... Because with Zifferwick and Plattenhardt, they'd commit, but they were a bit wary about the defensive duties, whereas I feel with Luca Bacchio and Leckie, they'll just be happy to make on-rushing runs and make overlaps on either side.
Yeah, definitely. Daz put in the chat, who do you think will get the golden boot at the Euros? Bloody hell. We're a long way from that, Daz. I'll tell you that for sure. I'll tell you in a few months' time, but my first option's Mbappe, just because when you look at the Euros, you always got to think of it. Whoever goes the furthest is most likely probably going to have the top scorer, unless you have a very good group stage performance.
I was going to say, who did you predict to win it? Because we've done this on the channel before, I think. Predictions to who we think would win it.
I cannot remember for the death of me who I said was going to win it, but for me, I think Mbappe will be the top scorer because France will most likely go on a pretty decent run.
Yeah, I had the Netherlands to win it before I got informed that... well, I wasn't informed. I found out Frank de Boer was the manager. But I'm still going to stick with the
Netherlands. Don't forget as well, with the Euro group, it is the group of Portugal, France and Germany. So it is a case of it being quite likely one of those teams is probably going to get knocked out unless their third place position has enough points on the board to get them through, which I personally don't think is going to happen, because you'd expect 9 times out of 10 those 3 sides to beat each other.
If they all end on 6 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, my team to win it is the Dutch, or it was, but now De Boer's in charge, I don't think they will. But I'm going to have to say Depay by that kind of
because
thinking.
As you said, you expect it. I mean, Tubbs, Giroud, of course. How can I forget? If he gets called up, because I know there's always been this stuff going on. Probably for Switzerland. Got to be Giroud, hasn't it? Has to be Giroud.
It will. As Kurt, Manchester United fan from Australia, hashtag MBFC. Hello.
How you doing?
Hello, mate. Nice to see you. And also there was another newbie in the
there's
show.
Ben.
Ben, there he is. Yeah, evening guys.
Been in the stream before. How you doing, buddy? Oh, you're good, lad. And Kurt as well. 2 of the regulars recently. Hope you're all good, guys.
Nice to see you.
And then Daz has put, did you hear about a new dance league starting from studio on Monday? Yes, I did. I know what happened last time with it, Daz. It was fucking awful. There was some... it was something to do with match fixing or something that was going on. It was terrible in the end, but apparently they've sorted it out. So I might watch it on Monday and see how it goes down. Might be something to maybe cover on the channel. Don't know if it's big enough for it, to be fair, but I'm going to look into it because it should be an interesting one. But how are you doing tonight, Ben and Kurt? Hope you're all good. We've got 25 minutes left of this match. Hits has not had much to do tonight. You might be on for a clean sheet.
I hope not, because I need both teams to score. So, but
you need to get going on the attack soon, because time's running out.
Yeah, exactly. There's about 25 minutes to go, and to be fair, structurally it still seems very similar. It seems like a 5-4, 5-3-2 kind of thing, it's really hard for Hertha when they go forward because they just have a lack of bodies.
Yeah. And now they've got a few more extra attacking players on. I would have thought Luca Bacchio would have been up there, maybe for a bit more pace, but he's on the wingers. There's a heavy ball hit towards the path of Matthew Mori, because I'd have played for a goal kick. But 25 minutes left on the clock. I wonder if Dortmund will make any changes soon to not necessarily start resting players, but I think Royce is probably one of those where, as I said, can't really last the full 90 minutes, so you'd expect him to go off soon.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm also a little bit surprised that Piatek's still on the pitch. I think he's had a really poor night tonight in terms of, overall he's not been the greatest player. I think Cordoba's been the danger when it's gone forward, and Piatek has just been there momentarily to maybe put a little pass in. But aside from that, I do think maybe you bring on Dilrosun, you move Luca Bacchio up top and convert Dilrosun to the wing. I don't know if you agree, Josh, but I just think Piatek's
you've got to go for it now. Piatek's not had a good game, but every time I said that, I was about to say he'd probably go on and get a goal in the match. But Kurt's put, he's good, bro. 5:54 a.m. in Australia right now.
Dedication.
The dedication from some of you guys. I know Tubbs usually gets up quite early for the late streams as well, but the dedication to be up at 5:54 for Dortmund Hertford sitting here with us is honestly, it's legendary, Kurt. So thank you very much. I hope you had a good evening and a good night's rest. Because it's, 6:55 here now. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully, when Kurt will, I don't know if he has a job or anything, but it'll be mid-morning when we start doing the MLS. Do you know when we start doing that and it kicks for 10? I've realised in Australia, that will be, the day is just beginning for, it's so weird, isn't it?
It's strange. So it's like when Tubbs comes in, obviously, because it's so early in the morning, 8 o'clock for him, it'd be 3 a.m. in the morning. It's
Credit to Tubbs, who stayed with me, he was a great lad in the chat yesterday with Augsburg v Gladbach. During the first half, I was just chatting to Tubbs for half an hour, to be honest with you, Josh.
This thing, isn't it? When you get dull games at first, it's hard to fill the time. I know that experience myself, but if we're going to come forward here, might be a potential opportunity for them in the game. They've not had many chances.
Foul
referee not going to give a foul in the end, as Tubbs just put. He's actually 3 a.m. In the morning there as well. So
3 a.m. Credit to you. I don't know. Wait. So have you not gone to bed? I presume he's not gone to bed yet.
I'd assume not.
Yeah, I was going to say, because maybe you've not, you've not gone to bed.
The dedication, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Honestly, fair play to some of you for getting up early in the morning for this. Because it's still 1-0 right now. 24 minutes left.
Go on, keep it in. No, you rubbish.
Not really done much of the substitutes yet. Still plenty of time, but Hertha looking on course for another defeat.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that I think they've been better than what we've seen of Hertha in the past. Under Labadia, I think they look a lot better than what they looked a couple of months ago. I think that's fair to say. But again, it's one of them where they need to start picking up results soon. But in a game like this, Would they have expected anything? No, but is there some credit you can take from the performance? I think so. I think there's something you can take from it.
Yeah, I think there's a few positives. I wouldn't say there's loads. I think, if you can keep the score down at 1-0, still loads of time to get back into the game. But if they don't score any more goals, 1-0 is not the worst result to take away from a team like Dortmund, because Hertha in the past have had a lot of heavy defeats against some of the big sides, or they've had games where they've scored a few and never come out on top. I think last season they lost to Bayern 4-3. The game before where they lost to Dortmund was 5-2. So they can rival some of these big clubs. But I feel like they've got...
Are they taking the piss?
Cordoba's off, by the way. Dilrosun's come on, which I think is...
How is Piatek still on this pitch, man?
I have no idea. But Dilrosun's off. Dilrosun's on even. Cordoba's off. Piatek stays on. So obviously Dardai still trusts in the Polish forward to maybe get a goal in this game or be detrimental to the performance.
He's so going to score. Like, genuinely,
I mean, maybe that's the thing. Maybe Piatek is, as you said, the hold-up guy in the team right now. And it was Cordoba that was running off the opportunities where Piatek would hold the ball, which, in the long run now, you'd assume Luka Bacchio moves up top.
Yeah.
You would think.
The only reason I could imagine for this change is what I said to you was I thought they maybe take...
Pretty away there from Yarstein.
Yeah, I thought they'd take Piatek off and move Dilrosun to the wing and Luka back up front. I think they've done that, but with Cordoba. The only reason I could possibly say is Luka Bacchio and Cordoba. Are they that similar?
Tubbs has just put Piatek is still in, and then Reese's put I take my goal back for her.
Everyone's back it this is not like some Piatek hate group or anything, but I agree that Cordoba has been their most influential forward player so far. It isn't hard when there's 8 defenders, don't get me wrong, but I do think he has been the most influential player, and I just don't...
It now sets up for Piatek to score a 88th minute goal and get a point for Hertha, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've had it too many times. I mean, Tubbs has put if Piatek scores another apology coming from KL. As Kurt's put as well, he loves watching the stream. Honestly, you're a legend, Kurt, for coming in the early mornings. And then Tubbs did put after my shift, which I did read at first. I thought after my shit, which was like, what? After my shift, sleep at 7 p.m, wake up around 11 at midnight, then watch the games until morning.
Wow.
The dedication is unreal.
That is incredible from you.
And I guess that's what you have to do when you're in the other part of the world, isn't it? You're getting up early in the morning to watch your team. I'm guessing you have to get up quite early in the morning, Kurt, when you watch Man United. It must be the early hours of the day. So credit to you, but chance if you don't want to come forward. Lovely work, but he's probably offside. And
good clearance off the line.
Great clearance, but the flag is up anyway for offside.
Yeah, and in terms of, it's like us watching, UFC or NFL, we have to stay the late night. It's weird because us football is on pretty much all day long. Really.
Yeah, we're quite lucky where we are in the world that pretty much any football apart from MLS is on at a pretty feasible time, and maybe some South American football as well, like Argentinian football, that tends to be on quite late. But we're very lucky that pretty much most football apart from South American football is on at a good time.
Yeah, and we also get catered to. I think a lot of leagues cater to the European audience, which is always and much the same as the American ones cater to the American audience, of course. As Dilrosun has his first real run of a game. Meunier, who's just come on for Mori, is going to take a run at him to try and start the game. But yeah, fresh legs now for Dortmund on the pitch. It'll be interesting to see if they can kind of neutralise the attacking subs that Hertha made.
Yeah, they're just matching up with what Hertha, the attacking subs Hertha have made. They've matched up with defensive ones of their own, just to cover the fact that there are going to be a few tired players on the pitch. Let's not forget Dortmund did play midweek against Sevilla. I think it was on Tuesday night, so they've had only a few days to come back from. No, I think were they in Spain or was it at home? It was at home, so they haven't actually had to travel in the end. But they had the game midweek. Hertha right now haven't played since Saturday, so you would expect Hertha to be a little bit more fit with some of the other players playing in the UCL. But it's one of those where Royce has come off, but once again, glass legs. Having his, I don't know if it's going to be a bit of cramp or what, but glass legs down again, even off the pitch.
I don't know, there's some massage happening on here.
I don't know whether it is an injury or anything, or whether it's just a little massage he's having on his foot, but Royce has probably got the worst tendencies a player to having injuries. I think he's one of the most injury-prone players in world football. It's unbelievable how often he gets injured. But going to be a free kick for Berlin as to support. Yes, lads, dedication from this part of the world if you love football. Safe to say I do love football. If this isn't love, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with that. It's like when you love your team, but they put you through heartache every single week, even though you'll still come back week in, week out, and it was like...
Because every game's a different game.
Yeah, exactly. And even though, you're on crap form, you'll still believe, and stuff like that. This is what kind of football does, and it's like when you watch American football and your team's playing at like 3 a.m. or something, and you stick up and watch it because, as you say, it's a love you have for that team. And there's Royce, he's fresh off a massage and he's back in the action.
I thought they'd taken him off at first, but it must have just been, I don't know whether it can't be cramp or anything else. They would have probably took him off, but I'd assume he'd come off soon. 18 minutes left of the match. Might actually play the full 90 minutes for probably the first time in a while. And then Tubbs has put, Reeds has just put Reeds just like being rubbed.
Reeds?
Yeah, Reeds just like being rubbed.
What's he talking about? Do you know?
Royce. It's
Royce.
It's bloody.
Correct.
Autocorrect. Royce just likes being rubbed.
Oh, fair.
That's why I was confused at first.
Fair enough. No.
Autocorrect. Bloody awful in the end. But Hertha coming forward and then going back.
Oh, Josh, I think me both teams to scores in the shitter, to be honest with you.
No, it does. As I said, I'd had a feeling with this game it was going to maybe end 1-0. Still 17 minutes left, and it can change all quite easily. And Hertha get the ball back in. There's a good chance for them to come forward. Start with a terrible ball in the end, and Dortmund there just gifting an opportunity for Hertha, and it's wasted by the away side.
Yeah, and exactly. I think this is just going to be kind of seeing out the game now for Dortmund for this. I don't think there'll be many more chances in this game, to be honest with you. And yeah, Reece was right. This down phone, as he's, I think it's every phone.
Oh, a good chance here though for Dortmund. Maybe Brandt into the box, tried to lay it off. I think for Schulz, but doesn't get to him in the end. And Hertha now might have a chance to come forward. You can see Luka Bacchio and Piatek up top, and it's Luka Bacchio on the ball. He finds himself a bit in an awkward position, but does really well. Bellingham does even better though and gets towards him, and. The ball goes all the way back to Marwin Hitz in goal, who's had a pretty quiet 75 minutes tonight. He's not had much to do, has he, really?
No, not really. A few goal kicks. It's not really been... In terms of clear-cut chances for Hertha, I feel like the attacking intent has been there. There's just been no clear-cut chances for them, apart from that one scuffed header in the first half.
Yeah, and as I said, I felt like this was expected. When they got 7 defenders on the pitch, specifically earlier on, it was always going to be tough to break down this back line, but it's weird because it now feels like with attackers on, they've actually done worse than they have with the defenders, which is strange. They have more chances. I don't think we've had a chance in this second half so far. It's one of those where they need something too, but there's a great chance here, and it's brilliant news for them that Royce isn't as quick, but he's got brilliant depth of field when it comes to passing, but Haaland doesn't. He tries to lay it off to Brandt, who'd made a run in the box, but in that situation, Hertha will be thankful that Royce's legs have kind of gone, or else he would have, in the yesteryears have got round the defence and probably had a chance. Yeah,
it was a poor bit of defending. I couldn't tell who it was from at the back. I mean, it might have been Dardai or something like that, but it looked like he just completely misjudged the path of the ball, and it eventually fell to Royce, and he tried to go for a really cute pass, but it just didn't work out in the end.
No, although that is going to be good defending from Dilrosun, who
great defender.
Just then doesn't put a really good pass in, and that's a poor pass which allows Dortmund a chance here in a decent position for a throw, which Meunier will take. And if they can get a second goal in this match, it's well and truly done. Of course, 1-0 still not the safest result in the world, and they're going to come forward here. Royce trying to flick the ball in, and that will be a corner, I think, in the end. So big opportunity here from the set piece. As Kurt puts, I love watching Man United kick off at 3 a.m. Wow. Maybe sleep watching live stream Man United games. So 3 a.m. in the morning.
Credit to you for waking up at that time to watch the game. Or staying up, whichever you choose to do. But that's a massive level of dedication, Kurt, I'm not going to lie to you.
It's massive dedication indeed. As Gio Reyna, who was one of the subs that came on, he's going to whip this ball into the box, the young American. Puts a really good ball in, and that's a brilliant save from Jarstein. And for the Sunday League goalkeeping that we had about 20 minutes ago, that is top class from the Norwegian.
Yeah, it's really annoying because we said earlier about the great save he made when he was diving to the opposite side earlier. It's another one from the near post header from Emre Can, which was a great save from Jarstein. It's just that one mistake. It's so costly because he's had a really good game besides that.
So Reyna's going to whip another ball in. This time it's going towards the outside of the box. Eventually whipped in, but it's a really heavy cross, and Jarstein will catch it in the end. And if Hertha wants some here, I expect Jarstein to be throwing it out fairly quickly. But
yeah, there's got to be some urgency from Hertha Berlin. I know there's 13 minutes, and credit in football, that is a long period of time. There's a lot of things that can happen as they try to break the back line. And guess who's there? It's Piatek and his poo, Josh.
It's a good ball. It's a good ball. I think maybe Lukebaki in that situation might have been a bit quicker to it, but Piatek being on for 77 minutes is going to be a little bit tired, as you'd expect him to be. But that's the first time I've really seen him go long ball in this match, and it very nearly come off. So maybe that might be a way to go with the last 13 minutes left. But as you said, urgency needs to be shown now, because there's no point sitting back for 13 minutes and losing 1-0. Yeah, you can take positives, but nothing comes good from a 1-0 defeat.
No. Of course, as we say, in terms of defensively, they've looked much better in this game than they have in the past. I know they've already conceded like 48 goals, 49 if you include today, goals this season. That's really bad for a team in the Bundesliga. So, but today they looked defensively very, very solid. However, once you've gone 1-0 down, there's not really the time to be defensively solid, especially when you're at the bottom of the table or near the bottom.
As Reece puts poo attack.
He is. He's actually not wrong. And he said that they fucked it when Cordoba was pulled. And I mean, I don't want to slag Piatek off him. I just think Cordoba offered more when he was on the pitch.
Nearly a mistake there from Kluntat to play the ball back to Jarstein. Haaland closed him down. Could have been a pretty poor mistake to make in the match, as Tubbs put Sunday League keeper made up for his mistake there. He made up for it very slightly, but Daz has asked, did you or anyone hear about Murray Walker? I didn't know, but he did also put in the chat, he put another comment. 12 minutes left at Goodison Park, so a little bit of time left in that one. That one is still 2-1.
He's only talking to you.
It's not to you.
He's talking to you.
We'll have a chance here.
Dilberson's in behind, and it's a
good defending at the back from Chan. Who, I'm not even going to say he's a makeshift centre-back anymore, because he, of course, played centre-back for Liverpool, didn't he? When he was there for a few months.
Yeah, he did occasionally play at centre-back for Liverpool. Liverpool have a tendency to do that as well. Move Fabinho into centre-half, move Henderson into centre-half.
Everyone's moved to centre-half.
That is a really crap challenge.
That's going to be a red card.
Oh my God!
He's off. And that's going to be a red card. And this game for Hertha Berlin has just gone from bad to worse.
That is an awful challenge.
And it's a terrible challenge in the end. And the referee only has one decision to make, and that's going to be a red card. And just looking at the tackle now, Royce has got glass legs. I think those legs might have just been shattered. Just looking again there, it's Derrida and studs are up. And that, considering we just saw Royce not too long ago having his leg, he was having a bit of a massage on his legs, you'd assume that it might have been something with his leg, but you can see the reaction there from Royce. Red card, down to 10. Credit
to Derrida, he knew immediately that he was apologetic and everything. I think he knew. And even when the red card got given, he knew that he was off. And, well, both teams to score is definitely out the window now.
And the worry here is for Royce.
Yeah, definitely.
Is this going to be a case of him being injured? Because, as I said, it's a horrible, horrible challenge with the studs being up. But we've seen Royce having that massage earlier. It does make me think, had not necessarily been a tweak, but was there something there that just needed sorting out? There we go. They're just showing it now, in fact. That was about 10 minutes ago where it was his... It just looks like they were trying to sort out his ankle. And when you look at the tackle, it's in a very similar position to where his ankle was being massaged earlier. So I don't think Royce will continue on here. I'd expect Rainier or Makoku to come on for the last 10, because you can see him there. He's punching the ground.
He's on his feet.
Which is a good sign.
Yeah, it was a nasty tackle from Derrida. And I'll be honest, I actually don't think there was any intent from Derrida there at all. I think you could see immediately, he already knew, he's an experienced player, he knew he was off the pitch, but he was more concerned about Marco Reus. And then to see Marco Reus up and walking, luckily, it might just be a contact kind of injury. It was painful at the moment. We hope it's nothing to do with his Achilles, because I don't think he'd be walking, which is a good thing that he's got up. That's what I'm just trying to, it's a good thing that he's got up and he's hobbling.
Yeah, it's a good sign at the very least, but I don't know whether to take him off here as a precaution, just get him off just in case. But Omar Alderete is going to come on, the Swiss defender, and Piatek is going to come off. So obviously here, Hertha Berlin looking like they're going to pretty much see out this match for the last 10 minutes, which makes this game pointless now if you're a neutral. But Royce looking okay. In fact, it looks like he's actually going to come back on, but chance here for Haaland. Ball flicked towards him. Good defending at the back there from Nicholas Stark. But good to see. It looks like Royce is going to be okay.
Yeah, that's what the real hope was, is that he was okay to carry on. It does just look like it in the immediate contact with the studs on the Achilles. That's going to be painful for anybody. It was a bad tackle, but luckily he's up. He's walking a bit gingerly, as to be expected, but it doesn't look like an injury where he'll have to spend like a couple of weeks or months on the sideline. Which, when it's Royce, thank the Lord, because
he gets glass legs, isn't it?
He gets injured just running.
Yeah, he's got a really bad tendency of getting injured. Reese has put #Reese on the NLD watch-along. Give me a message, Reese, and we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do, because being a Spurs fan, be nice to get a Spurs fan on that. Be nice to have got an Arsenal fan as well. It'd be pretty cool. But Royce is down. Yeah, he's going to be coming off here. As I said, Royce has got an awful tendency to get injured, and this situation is not one which he could control, but he's got to come off the pitch. So on comes Moukoko, the youngster. He'll be on in a moment's time. But Royce, instantly said he wanted the switch as he came back on again, which is just not worth staying on the pitch for 10 minutes after that tackle. Should have just taken him off straight away to play it safe, because now he's coming off. Might make it less serious rather than him running about for another 10 minutes, but you don't like to see it.
Yeah, I thought with him coming back on, he was moving a bit gingerly, but we saw on the sideline that he seemed okay. But now he's coming off. Hopefully, it means that as you can say, he can rest up and kind of maybe nurse that injury rather than making it a little bit worse by constantly pushing pressure. And I think he'll go straight down the tunnel. Yeah,
no doubt with that, which is a shame. Hopefully, nothing too serious in the end. But Carl's put. I know people are saying about tomorrow's. Is it tonight or tomorrow when Man U plays West Ham? I think it's tomorrow night. Martial and Rashford might be out tomorrow. New Rashford might be out, but not Martial. I'm looking forward to Ole's. I'm not looking forward to Ole's team. Diallo needs to start. Bit of a makeshift front side attacking team for United tomorrow. It's looking like, because I think is Cavani out as well. I'm pretty sure. So you're missing quite a few players. I know KD was saying he was expecting it to be like Diallo, James, kind of up top, and Greenwood, which is an interesting attacking lineup.
Fast.
Very fast, very young as well, which will be interesting to see with how West Ham deal with it. But 6 minutes left now, kind of thankful. Burnley down to 10 men, which was well deserved. As I said, Derrida acknowledged the fact that it was a bad tackle in the end, but Hertha here just looking to see out this game as Luka Bacchio will move into that striker position for the last 6 minutes. Which is a real shame, because this game will be going out on a whimper.
Yeah, it's kind of what we said. To be fair, Hertha weren't offering much going forward anyway. But now with the 10 men, I think they're just going to kind of stay. Don't do their goal difference any more harm. That's kind of their MO for the rest of this game, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And, in terms of how the league table looks right now, and how it will look, because Dortmund should realistically go on and get the win after this game. They'll go to 5th place, 42 points. That put 1 point behind Frankfurt, who do play tomorrow against Leipzig, which is a humongous game. And then as for Union Berlin, they stay just outside on goal difference, because Mainz won today on 21 points. There could be a chance that Hertha actually drop back into the relegation zone again, which would be a massive disappointment for them, because they've got a good enough team, in my opinion, to be lingering around the top 10. When you look at teams like Union Berlin, Freiburg, Stuttgart, I think they've got better players in certain positions than those sides, but they just don't seem to be working for Hertha. Very Real Betis-esque, I think.
Yeah, but this is one of them when what you look at Hertha is a team that's got heart, and a team that is very, very well disciplined and know exactly what they're all about, and they do it to perfection. Whereas I feel like, not that Hertha Berlin are a team of individuals by any mean, but I just don't think I don't see the identity. With
Dodgy recruitment system.
Oh yeah, that as well. But I just don't see the identity of Hertha Berlin. I don't come into games. I know they'll probably concede. That's probably the only thing I can say about them. But in terms of who is the guy that's going to keep this team up, I don't know.
It's a tough one right now. It's a very tough one indeed, and if they do go down, then it's going to put the club back to square one again, because of they've spent so much money on all these players. There'll be a lot of them that will probably want to go. and not be interested in sticking around in the Bundesliga too. I don't think it's a bad league myself, to be honest, but with players having short careers, they don't want to be lingering around the second division of football when they've only got a few years maybe left of their career, some of them. But might be a chance here for Everton to come forward. It's going to be a very rare opportunity.
Toussaint spreads it to Mittelstadt.
I mean, if they scored here, this would be incredible. It's going to be Mittelstadt. Tries to flick a ball in. Still has it. Trying to get it back to Mittelstadt. Call for maybe a penalty shout, but referee isn't going to acknowledge it. And now there's a chance here for Dortmund to come on the counter-attack again. And there's a lot of space here for Moukoko to run into. Youngster gets onto the ball. It's on the right wing. Going to cut in. But good defending in the end. And that's a real good moment for Berlin in the match.
Yeah, it was one of them. Moukoko tried to cut inside, but he didn't quite get away with it. But again, Hertha they're kind of trying to structure some counter attacks. But as you said, they just look toothless up top. To be honest with you, and it's at 10 men they've looked even worse. Obviously,
yeah. At 10 men they've looked worse, and the attacking substitutes haven't done anything in the match. It was a better performance when they had the 7 defenders on the pitch, with one of them playing as a midfielder. It looked more better, and it looked like they had a bit of structure. But it's a poor result tonight for Hertha. I think at points Dortmund have been there for the taking. They've not looked majorly convincing, but saying that, Moukoko's in here, sprays a ball in, and it really should be 2-0.
Gio Reyna at the back post. Moukoko, I think he was going for the shot in the end, but fair play to Gio Reyna. He gambled on the fact that he might fall to the back post, and it did, and he just slid to get a touch on it, and he ends up it hitting the post. But
it's a good cross in the end.
It is. It turns into a really good cross. But as you say, a really golden opportunity for Dortmund there to... I think the game's killed already, but really killed the game.
Yeah, it's a shame for him, but 1 minute left here of normal time. Will probably be 1 or 2 minutes of additional time because Royce's injury and stuff, but 7:15 tomorrow, United West Ham.
5:30am.
Not too bad. You get a bit of a later wake up.
That's what I was going to say, lying that.
A bit of a lion for you, Kurt. And then a tough saying Reyna almost scored. I think the power on that cross there might have been... You'd expect Reyna to put it in, but the power of the cross/shot might have just put Reyna off slack to being able to put that in. But with 40 seconds left here in normal time, 2 or 3 minutes left, Hertha Berlin going to be probably coming out of here with a 1-0 defeat. It's a massive result for Dortmund because it will put them, as I said, closer towards those Champions League spots. But it all depends tomorrow because that Leipzig game against Frankfurt is massive. Because if Leipzig lose, you would think that title's going back to Bayern again. So it's a big, big test for them.
That game is so important tomorrow. I genuinely can't underestimate how important it is for both teams. Because Eintracht kind of been the top half surprise package after the poor season they had last year. They're kind of clinging on to the Champions League spot being closed down by this Dortmund side as it falls to Moukoko. Inside, outside, ricochet, lashes it.
Oh, that is brilliant from Moukoko. Welcome to the Bundesliga, my friend. I think that might be his first goal in the Bundesliga.
Is it his scored against Union?
So it'll be his second as we go to 5 minutes of additional time. But that will no doubt be his best goal in the Bundesliga so far. He's not had many to choose from, but that is brilliant from the youngster who doubles the lead. And all you can say is pretty much... it's deserved. Yeah,
he turns the defender inside out, hits it towards the near post with his left foot. Would you say Rune Jarstein should be doing better because he can't be getting beat at his near post because it goes through the legs of the Norwegian? But a brilliant goal by Youssef Moukoko. Bit fortunate on the ricochet, but the finish from Moukoko, good job for the young lad.
Brilliant. And a real good confidence boost as well. Dortmund going to take the win. Really, really nice goal in the end. As James put, evening lads, apologies, I'm hella late. It's all right, James, you've come at the right time. You got a goal. You only had to wait, about 15 seconds? 3. And it's his third goal of the season. Which, I tell you what, for a youngster that has probably not had a great deal of minutes on the pitch, 3 goals is not bad.
Yeah, definitely. If we're looking through Dortmund's ranks for maybe the successor to Haaland, I think Moukoko is the option I would choose.
I don't know whether everyone's still on the stream or not. He might disagree with that one, but 5 minutes. Now, technically, I know Reese put 3-1 still a possibility.
Oh, wait.
3-1 is a possibility because there's a chance here for a third goal in the game. Dortmund coming forward again here. Still got the ball. And it's not the greatest ball towards
Don't go
Brandt.
to the corner. Don't go to the corner, Dortmund. Just put him to the sword. Why
Here's
not?
Dahoud.
who gets away from
does really well there.
a midfielder. And there's Mounier in the middle. It's it.
It's
Go on,
it.
son.
Mounier. Wow. Do you know what? At this stage of the competition, even he's got a little bit of a smile on his face. It was worth a try in the end, as Tubbs has put.
Sunday League keeper is back, Josh.
He's back again. He had. Do you know what it seems to be? He pulls off one wonder save, Tubbs, and then the next minute he just turns into the Sunday League keeper. It's poor from him. But for me, it proved why Swallow was probably the starting keeper. He's 34 now, I think, Jarstein. So it probably won't be long before he retires.
Yeah,
you'd expect.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's one of them that's always reminded me a little bit of Timo Horn and keepers like that. You know, the loyal keepers in the Bundesliga. Is, go on, Luca Bacchio, just score for my bet.
And he tries to put the ball in and... Well, there was excitement there from Kieran. It wouldn't have meant much in terms of the match, but he tried to chip the ball over hits, and it very nearly went in. But in the end there, it looks like you're not going to be getting both teams to score unless Zagadou makes a mistake here, which he's struggling to get the ball away, and he does really well in the end. But they've got a chance here to come forward. It's going to be a chance with Del Rosen, and it's a long-range effort taken on by, I think it was Mittelstadt. And it's just a real waste of an opportunity.
But Luca Bacchio's attempt, genuinely, I thought he'd cantonade it from inside the box.
He's got a big smile on his face. It was worth a go.
It was that wasn't from Mittelstadt. That was far from worth a go.
No, definitely not.
Oh no, we're showing the replay.
Just seeing it now. It's a really good attempt. So close to being dinked in by Luca Bacchio. But James has put us, at least I'm witnessing some good football, eh? Our game ruined my day.
Who'd you spot?
Luton.
Oh.
Which is a real shame. And then Reese's put, what channel is North London Derby on? Sky Sports tomorrow. 4 on Sunday. So, always, is it just me or does the North London Derby always seem to be Sunday 4:30?
Yep, it's exactly what it is.
Is it in the contract or something? It has to be at 4:30? Because it just always feels like it's on at that time.
I think it's one of them where Sky always get it as well.
Yeah.
There's probably been a few where the BT have it, but I feel like
I've never seen a North London derby in the last few years being at like 7 o'clock, like a late kickoff. It's always 4:30. Same with Arsenal Man City, always 4:30.
I know, but Arsenal Man City's not really.
Like I understand with Rangers Celtic, for example, that's always on at 12:30.
Yeah, it is
because policing and stuff like that. I understand that, but it's strange. As full time, Everton lose to Burnley 2-1.
So my bet would have been screwed anyway.
Yeah, and a big result for Burnley. That should probably see them off for another season in the Premier League. But ball whipped in.
Right.
And ball
40 seconds. Come on, Jarstein, lad. We've got 40 seconds for Kale's bet to be saved.
Hey, you're going to need him to hoof this up quick. Yeah. Tubbs has put before everything and brilliant stream, lads. Thank you, Tubbs. You're a legend. God bless your soul.
Oh, they've gone short. It's typical. Come on now. Alderete, just hoof it long, man. There's 20 seconds left. Bloody hell. As Toussaint spreads it really well.
You're going to have to hope this ball is whipped very long, which it is.
Yeah, brilliant. Honestly, absolutely brilliant.
5 seconds left here. Referee's going to blow his whistle.
No, don't do
it. And the referee will blow his whistle. And it's full time here between Dortmund and Hertha Berlin. And Dortmund with a pretty convincing 2-0 win against Hertha Berlin today, who were down to 10 men for 15-20 minutes of the match. It started off with a goal in the second half, a long-range effort from Julian Brandt, which Jarstein should have saved. And then just before the end of the match, Moukoko got his third goal of the season. Again, Jarstein should have probably saved it. And as for Hertha Berlin, they find themselves just outside the relegation zone based on goal difference. Mainz on a run of form right now. Is it looking like Hertha are going to be maybe down there for the rest of the season?
They've got to look over their shoulder. There's no doubt about it. You know, I've got to admit, they were hopeful after the first half. I think they had a really impressive first half performance, and it all just soured in the second. You know, you look to your experienced players, and unfortunately today, Jarstein made a mistake, which kind of put them on the back foot in the second half. The changes didn't make the difference that I'm sure Dardai would have wanted. But overall, I think Dortmund definitely deserved the result. And if you're Hertha Berlin now, from the positive of last week, you weren't expected to get a result here today. These aren't the games that you expected to win. But they really need to start stringing some kind of confidence and some sort of form together, because they need to constantly look over their shoulder with whichever upcoming fixtures they have remaining.
Yep, definitely. As I said before, when we look at the table, Dortmund in 5th, 42 points. Frankfurt, Leipzig playing tomorrow. Frankfurt in 4th on 43. So if Frankfurt do lose and Leipzig win, it means the title race is still open and Dortmund can actually push back into the UCL spots as well. So big for them. It also does mean Leverkusen could actually jump back into 5th place because they've got a game as well tomorrow night. But Hertha Berlin staying 15th place, 21 points. Minus 17 goal difference. Mainz with a win today. They went up to 21 points with a minus 20 goal difference. Arminia Bielefeld also have a game tomorrow against Leverkusen. If they win, they can jump out of the relegation zone on 22 points, which could also drop the likes of Cologne back into that relegation battle. Well, stay in the relegation battle still. So it's hotting up. As for Schalke, they're gone already. Doesn't matter about them anymore. But overall, really, really interesting game. Not if you're a Hertha Berlin fan, you'll be very disappointed with it. But we've got more content to come up on the channel in the next few days. As we said, we have got another A-League watch-along, by the way. That's going to be taking place on Monday morning. That's with me from 8:05. So we've got more A-League action over the weekend. And then, of course, you have just watched Dortmund against Hertha Berlin at 5:25. But don't forget, tomorrow, me and KD are going to be live, 4:25, Arsenal-Tottenham. But before that, Rowan's going to be covering Leicester against Sheffield United, the first game that we haven't had with Chris Wilder in charge potentially, although he still hasn't been sacked yet, so we have no idea what's going on there. But I'm going to talk in a second about Free Agency Frenzy because that's coming up on Monday. And as always, if you want to take part in our UCL tournament, it's free to play. We're doing a FIFA tournament based on the Champions League of this season. We need 32 players to take part. You don't need an Xbox or a PlayStation or FIFA, so you don't need any of them, which is always a big positive. There's a cash/gift card prize for the winner. We've got 9 spots left. Once those 9 spots are done, I'll confirm a date of when we're doing the tournament and we'll stream it live on YouTube. So if you haven't put your name down yet, please, please, please put it in the chat because the spaces are going pretty thick and fast. But as I said, Monday, if you're an NFL fan, Free Agency Frenzy.
Yep, it's going to be Monday kind of through till Wednesday, but teams can start negotiating on Monday. The salary cap has been decreased in the NFL, so there's a lot of big moves going to be happening with a lot of big names. People are being cut, veterans and stuff like that, so it makes for one of the more interesting off-seasons we've had in a while due to COVID-19 and kind of the drop in the salary cap. So make sure to join us both here and on the website because there'll be constant updates from me and Will and maybe Rowan and maybe KD if they want to talk about their teams individually. And of course, maybe Josh if he wants to just come in and say go Steelers every now and then.
Because I don't know much about NFL myself. But as Kieran said, check out the website because there'll be a live blog going on there. That's thesports-corner.com. And do also check out our Twitter and our Instagram if you want to know when we go live on YouTube. We've got streams we're doing. Then there's the 2 places to go. You can see them on the screen. Come and follow us. We always tweet out and post on Instagram when we go live as well as when we put new articles up on thesports-corner.com. There's plenty of stuff going up all of the time on the website. But as for now, a massive, massive thank you to Kieran L.
Oh, well, it's a massive thank you to you, Josh, for sitting through a game that I had high hopes for.
And just look at that. Reese with a £5 donation at the end. He's put nice stream, boys. Thank you very much, Reese. You're a fucking legend. And I'll give you a message as well on Snapchat in a second.
Yeah, and I've got to admit, you know, as you said, nice stream, and as refs ruining dreams. Thanks, Reese.
Let's hope refs don't ruin dreams tomorrow for you, Reese.
Reese, you have reimbursed the money spent on both teams to score. So thank you for that. But no, thank you to everyone as well. Tubbs as always, Kyle as always. Putting the links in the chat, and Jordan as well, who were in here earlier, and also the guys I might not have ever seen before, like James and stuff like that. Because obviously
Ben, Kurt as well.
Obviously, some people are a little bit new to me, so it's nice to see you all, and hopefully we'll see you all for some massive games coming up. And if you are a fan of the Bundesliga, watch out for Leipzig-Frankfurt tomorrow. What a bloody game! Yeah, it should be a good game. As I said, Rowan he's covering Leicester-Sheffield United tomorrow. Thought he was going to cover Leipzig. Have both them. He could have both them, yeah. So that is tomorrow from 2 o'clock. Then straight after is the North London derby. Check your messages, Reese, in a few minutes. But as for now, that's singular. That's singular, which means. Oh, honestly, thank you, Kurt. We'll take it. Now, see you later, guys. Good night.